So this is the next installment of our Gabbie, Hanna, and Jessi Smiles feud series. The last video we did was Jessi Smiles' video called Gabbie, Hanna Needs to Be Stopped. Now we're going to watch the next video that was from the sequence of events, which was called Jessi Smiles, Trisha Paytas, Alex James, and Beyonce. Now we're actually not going to address the Trisha Paytas, Alex James, and Beyonce segment. We're only going to address where she talks about Jessi Smiles, because this is just about her and Jessi. That's it. So we're going to go ahead, react to this video, because this is the video that came after Jessi Smiles' video. So we're going to see Gabbie's reaction. Now, it's going to go like this. Jessi made the first video, then Gabbie made this video. Then there was a 3-hour phone call they had after both of these videos. And then Gabbie made another video, and then Jessi made another video. Sometime later, like a long while later, Gabbie ends up doing a podcast about the entire situation. So that's the order we're going to go in. Now, let's go ahead and get into this video. Again, only covering Jessi Smiles. Because while we know there was issues with Trisha, Alex, and Beyonce, those don't relate to Jessi. Now, Trisha's sort of relates to Jessi, but we've already covered Gabbie and Trisha. And Trisha only relates in the sense where Jessi said that she was inspired to tweet because she saw what was happening with Gabbie and Trisha, which we've already said before. It's not a similar situation, but we can understand why it looked that way to Jessi, who did experience what she said she experienced with Gabbie. But let's go ahead and check this out.
Today I'm doing a video that I've gone back and forth with myself for months trying to decide if I should do it, and I'd be lying if I said that I didn't battle myself a billion times before finally sitting here and actually doing it today. I recognize that talking about...
One thing I'm going to say kind of preemptively is, one thing I notice is Gabbie's demeanor in this video compared to what we're going to see in the 3-hour phone call, to me, doesn't quite match. Now, I'm not going to come at her immediately off the bat because we are going to hear her out, but I will say, when I listened to the 3-hour phone call, and we will all listen to that together, Jessi seemed more in tune with her video self and her private self versus Gabbie's take on the situation. Because in the 3-hour phone call, Gabbie's a little bit more fed up, frustrated, she's combative. In this video, she's kind of making it seem like, I just want peace and I'm going to share my side of the story. One thing that always kind of confused me, though, was in this video, which you'll end up seeing, she does tell Jessi, if you want to call or talk, let's talk. But then when Jessi tries to, Gabbie doesn't want to. So that's kind of what I'm going into this with the vibe of like, okay, I already know everything that happened. So seeing the calm demeanor is throwing me off because it only seemed to be calm in this video, but we'll keep going.
About it at all, that I am opening myself up to responses, and I do anticipate backlash. I just ask that you please watch the video in its entirety before forming an opinion or commenting, because there's a lot that I need to talk about.
My bad, I did form that opinion based off everything else I've seen and this video, but she does say, everyone give her a chance to speak, so we'll give her a chance to speak. I will say, though, I do find it kind of strange that all 4 names were thrown into one video, because I can understand wanting to address every single controversy that you have. However, her issue with Jessi was so big that I think it probably deserved its own response and not to just be grouped up. But that's just my personal opinion.
Again, whether or not I should respond to this, there were a million reasons why I felt like I should and a million reasons why I felt like I shouldn't. So what I did a few months ago when I started really going through everything was literally make a list of the reasons why I should and why I shouldn't. And what it came down to is the reasons I should respond were all really selfish reasons. It would be to try to clear my name or defend myself.
See, she does seem reflective in this video, and there's this tone of maturity where it's like, okay, she seems authentic. We want to hear her out. And I remember initially watching this video and getting that vibe too, where I was like, oh, she seems very honest and open and like she wants to make things clear. However, after, like I said, listening to the 3-hour phone call and then kind of piecing every single thing together, I don't know if it reads as genuine as it once did.
get something off my chest, make me feel better, make myself look better. But on the other hand, I would be contributing to a culture that I don't believe in and feeding into a drama narrative. And even worse, I would be potentially hurting other people, because when you respond to something, you do shine a light on other people in a way that might send negativity their way. And at the risk of sounding like I'm playing the victim, the last few months have been really challenging and really difficult dealing with my mental health. And I know what I went through mentally, emotionally, and what my loved ones had to go through mentally and emotionally, and I just wouldn't wish this on my very worst.
But the one thing that confuses me about her saying that is that I don't necessarily know if I believe that just based off everything we've seen so far. Now, she does say that she stays quiet for the most part, but I feel like she does this thing where she'll say she's staying quiet, but then she kind of will do the same thing she accuses Jessi of doing, which is she'll say, "Oh, me and Jessi are cool for months," and then Jessi will suddenly say something. Okay, but in return, Gabbie also seems to be doing that, because I remember Jessi said, she had just congratulated me on my pregnancy, and then months later she made a video on me out of nowhere. Or she reached out to my ex-boyfriend and tried to get him to do an expose video. Or, you know, every time I think we're cool, there's an issue. Like there, I don't know if it's this video or another one, but Gabbie will mention how Jessi wanted to be cool with her again. So she told her, "Hey, I want to be cool with you too, but just for full transparency, Curtis reached out to me." And then Jessi obviously didn't like that, because who would I wouldn't, if I were Jessi, I wouldn't rekindle a relationship either if I found out that the person I was trying to rekindle it with had just spoken to someone who had harmed me in an irredeemable and irreparable way. So I don't blame her for that. But I feel like Gabbie will do things too, but not see when she does it. But she'll only see, "Oh, Jessi just mentioned me after 3 months." Okay, but you do that too, or you've done that. You've been guilty of it.
Worst enemy. That being said, it's been brought to my attention that my name's been brought up again, and I think that that opens up an opportunity for us to have a really important conversation that I think a lot of us need to have, myself included. So a couple days ago, Jessi Smiles posted a video. It was a Q&A, and in the thumbnail she put the question, "Did Gabbie ever apologize after the video?" In that video, she says that she called me out publicly so she wouldn't expect a conversation privately, and this is me paraphrasing, so feel free.
Okay, real quick. So apparently the first Jessi video that we did, even though that's the initial opening to them going back and forth, the initial video was Jessi doing a Q&A. Some might consider that the first video, but in my opinion, that wasn't Jessi coming at her. I know that's how Gabbie took it, but I think it's like I've explained before and they've explained before. The friendship was messy. They could not get along no matter what they did. Now, if Jessi was asked a question and Jessi said, "I had been asked this question many times before, I just decided I'm going to answer it." And Gabbie got mad at her because Gabbie was like, why would you reopen that wound? But it wasn't really Jessi reopening a wound. The wound was already open. It's just Jessi still didn't feel like there was closure, right? And she wanted to explain to people who kept asking about it, like, "Well, we're good, but we're not good." But Gabbie didn't want her to do that because Gabbie didn't want the backlash. So Gabbie was like, "You should have just not said anything." Now, in my opinion, it's Jessi's channel. If Jessi wanted to answer that question, in my opinion, she's well within her right. Even if it's annoying to Gabbie, even if they were cool before, if Jessi felt the need, or if Jessi wanted to, she could. She can say, "We're okay, but we're not really okay." Because Gabbie later did an interview when, people were semi cool or not cool, where she called a bunch of people out too. So it's like, you can't be the only one who gets to address things. If Jessi wanted to address something that involved her, she should be allowed to do that.
Free to please go check out the video yourself. But basically she says that she put out the video because she wanted to set the example of how she should be treated and to defend herself. And while I do believe that it's important to stand up for yourself and defend yourself, I don't agree that personal matters and interpersonal conflicts should be made public or dealt with publicly. We're reaching a point in our—
Okay, while I agree with that, I do feel like in Jessi's scenario, and if you hear the 3-hour phone call later, like if you watch that when we react to it later, you will see it's hard for them to discuss things because they don't see eye to eye. And sometimes Jessi will say something and Gabbie won't really acknowledge it. So if you feel like you're in a situation where you're not heard, or you feel like someone doesn't get your point. For instance, there was a lot of drama regarding Jessi, Gabbie, and Jessi's ex-boyfriend. I won't name him, even though his name's out there, but I won't name him. There was a lot of drama between that. And Jessi was trying to tell Gabbie, oh, remember when you did this? And Gabbie's like, I didn't do that, or I didn't do anything wrong. That was when I was hurt or whatever. But Gabbie never addresses how what she did was messed up. Example, when they did the story times and Gabbie did a story time where she said, yeah, I had this friend who got really mad because me and her boyfriend were at a party and we were sharing a wine bottle back and forth, just sipping it, handing it over, sipping it, handing it over. And Jessi was like, I thought that was wrong. And Gabbie's like, there was nothing wrong with it. She was crazy. She was jealous. I'm sorry, but there is something weird and uncomfortable about watching your best friend, because they were best friends at the time, share a wine bottle back and forth with your boyfriend, who your boyfriend tried to pursue that best friend. If you know, you know. I told the story in the last one, and they've told the story before. For a quick, synopsis, the guy that Jessi was dating pursued both of them initially, but went with Jessi. It was an OkCupid thing. If you know OkCupid, it was a dating site. He was messaging both of them. Him and Jessi ended up clicking, and he ended up dating her. But he had tried to pursue Gabbie at some point. So the whole situation was weird. But Gabbie to this day acts like she can't see or can't fathom why Jessi would have ever been made uncomfortable. So in scenarios like that, where you're dealing with someone who cannot see your point, I can see why Jessi would say, look, I said it publicly and not privately because I just want to address it publicly. Because if privately you're not acknowledged or understood, why would you keep going to have a conversation with someone privately? Because they're going to just keep telling you they don't see what they did was wrong, or they don't see how they're in the wrong in situations. So what's the point? And if you're Jessi and you know that what you saw was wrong, but someone's trying to convince you that you're wrong, then yeah, of course you're going to go, and maybe not public opinion, but just opinion in general. You're going to open up the conversation to be like, wait, was I wrong? Because the whole story time was them both opening up the conversation to who was wrong. So it makes sense that Jessi would go public.
World that frankly scares me. It feels like every day somebody new is canceled and it's becoming the norm to expose each other instead of to try to communicate or understand one another. I personally don't feel that making videos about people that you have a problem with is the example that we should be setting as the norm. If you get in a fight with somebody at school, the solution isn't to go around school and tell everybody why you have a problem with this person or why you don't like them. You should talk to them directly. You can get a mediator or a counselor.
She's right, but I don't think that this is that scenario. Because she's saying we should talk to people privately. Okay, but what if Jessi talks to you privately, which she did, and then you kind of shut her down with everything she says, which you did? What is she supposed to do in that scenario? Because in the 3-hour phone call, they both bring up a lot of points that they're both defensive over. So it's like if Gabbie knows what it's like to share a point and then the other person says that didn't happen or that didn't happen that way, then how can she not see Jessi's side and say, oh, she must feel this way too. She must feel like she's not heard privately. And while she's right, you shouldn't go spread rumors about people, or you shouldn't go, just vent. I think it is okay if you have an issue with someone to then go open the conversation up and be like, wait, this person is completely staunch and says that they're right and I'm wrong. I truly don't believe I'm wrong. Am I wrong? That's okay, because Gabbie knows that's okay, because she's made her own videos like, you guys, here's my story time. Who's right? Who's wrong? And why do you guys think AITA exists? Am I the a-hole on Reddit? Because people want to know, did I mess up here? Did they mess up here? It's okay to share those things. So, but that wasn't even what Jessi was doing in the video, was just to Gabbie apologize. And then Jessi said, no, she didn't. I think she's well within her right to say whatever she wants on her own channel, just like Gabbie is.
Are involved, or you can just move on and not have that person be a part of your life anymore. The same goes for work, friends, family, anybody that you have a problem with. You should be speaking to them. I'm guilty of this too, of course, we know. When you're mad at somebody, it's natural to want to vent it out, but we're in a place now where everybody has a platform. Everybody has the opportunity to make their interpersonal drama viral. And I'm afraid that we're reaching a point where if you say something hurtful to a sibling or a friend or your parent, held against you by pretty much anybody you ever meet. And we're seeing this more and more, not just...
That's true, but then Gabbie went on to do that herself when she started making exposed videos about everybody. Remember, that's kind of why Jessi's second video comes out, because Gabbie says, I'm about to do exposed videos on everyone, including Jessi. She did an exposed video on kind of Joey and Daniel, Joey Graceffa and Daniel Prada with the Escape the Night stuff. She made a video about Jessi Smiles, like more videos. She also spoke about drama channels and her issues with certain influencers. I don't remember if she did one on Trisha. No, I think she did. So it's like, I understand what she's saying, and she's like, oh, we should all not do this, but then you end up doing it too later, which goes to show that your stance in this moment isn't very authentic, because it didn't take you much convincing to just go do the same. Instead of just, you know, handling it privately. And if they didn't want to talk to you privately, then like you said, just move on. But instead, you also did videos. So it's like, I feel like Gabbie does this thing where she'll be guilty of things that she thinks other people are guilty of, but then doesn't acknowledge that she is too. I think you should just say, if you're going to do it, yeah, I'm doing it, and it's because of this. But then don't make this video where you're like, yeah, I'm concerned that society is going this way. But then you, with your, what, millions of followers, do the same?
With celebrities and YouTubers, but with people in their everyday lives exposing their friends and making Twitter threads or Twitter videos or TikToks about them. Because right now, the first reaction seems to be to turn to the internet. So I want to start this by answering the question that was asked, which was, did Gabbie apologize after the video? And the answer is, outside of the public apology and statement that I put out, no, I did not reach out to Jessi. I didn't feel like I was meant to apologize to Jessi, or that she was looking for an apology, because I had already apologized to Jessi many times in many different conversations over the years. I will never publicly bash Jessi, and
Wait, but there's something I have to say here. I couldn't really read those because they were kind of blurry, but I will say, she said that she's apologized to Jessi a lot of times, and Jessi has acknowledged a few apologies. However, I do agree with Jessi when she says, if you apologize for something, but then you later pretend that what you did was never bad, then your apology is kind of revoked. Because what are you apologizing for then? Like, what apology did I accept if you're now saying that you never did anything wrong? I think that's valid. Because you can't say sorry for something, but then tell everyone else you didn't do anything wrong. What you have to say is, I did do something wrong. I apologized to her. She accepted it. But you can't be like, oh, that happened 500 years ago, and I deleted it, and it wasn't really that bad. Like, there's so many things that went on between Jessi and Gabbie's friendship, which we talked about in the last video, and we're also going to talk about going forward. But there's so many things that happened, and when it comes to Gabbie, there are some things she did that she should apologize for that she never apologized for. Like concerning the ex-boyfriend. Yes, it's an ex. Yes, he doesn't really matter anymore, but the intent still matters.
I will never publicly air out our dirty laundry, because God knows we have it. But as
Wait, again, she says she'll never publicly bash Jessi. Again, why are we using the word publicly? So you'll bash her in private, but not publicly? And then she says, I will never air our dirty laundry, but then goes on to do just that. Which, okay, fine, fair if you say it's your defense and you want to get your defense out too. That's completely fine. If you think that she's airing your dirty laundry and then you want to air hers or yours with her, if they're just both providing receipts, I don't really think that's dirty laundry. I think they're just providing receipts. I know they did story times on each other, which was probably more so airing their dirty laundry. But in my opinion, this friendship is so, like, it's so harmful, or it was so harmful and toxic. And these two just, I don't know why they were ever friends, to be honest, because they don't really see eye to eye. And Gabbie can't see when she hurts Jessi. Again, I don't know what Jessi did to hurt Gabbie. She says that Jessi did things. I haven't personally seen them. If anyone wants to like link videos or link stories or, give me some kind of evidence, everything I've seen so far doesn't really show that. The only thing I've seen from Jessi that I can get Gabbie's side on is when she would tweet something and then delete it, but it was still poking. Because it is still poking. And I'm not saying Jessi's not within her right to do that. I'm just saying, if you tweet something and you acknowledge something and you're talking about someone, yeah, that person's probably gonna get mad. But I would say that that's not something Jessi did to Gabbie, because I think that I think you should be allowed to speak about any harm that you felt or any way that you were hurt. I think you're allowed to do that, okay? Let's make no mistake. I think that's okay. I'm just saying, if you do it, you did it, it's done, whatever. but you then have to expect a response from the person that you mentioned.
As far as I knew and what I've known is Jessi and I have been in a really good place for years. I congratulated her publicly on her wedding. She responded publicly, and we've had a lot of conversations over the years.
But wait, this isn't accurate though, because they've not been in a really good place. It was never really good. They were civil, but they could never be really good because they both held resentment toward each other. And they both have reasons for why they did. So they were never really good. Even you'll hear Gabbie contradict herself in this video when we'll get to it when we get to it. But she'll say, like, me and Jessi were supposed to do a vegan video together. It was my idea. We were going to do a vegan video because Jessi is vegan. But then later she'll be like, yeah, we ended up not doing that video, but I was confused because we were going to do that video, so we were good. But then later Gabbie will say, you know, I chose not to do that video because I thought, you know, me and Jessi are too messy. If she's in the video, it could open up the door to like other things. So you can't say on one hand, you thought you and Jessi were so good that you were going to do a video together. But then on the other hand, say, well, I didn't do the video because we're so messy and it's just so not good that it could have gone anywhere. So you can't have both.
Years with no problems. And while I'll never expose conversations of fights that we've had between us, I do want to show, because I think it's important, what our relationship has been for the last 3 years. So obviously I'm not gonna read all of our text word for word.
But wait, she says she congratulated Jessi on her wedding, but she also congratulated Jessi when Jessi was pregnant, and then Jessi said months later she made a video about her. Like, Gabbie made a video about Jessi after congratulating her months prior. So you can't accuse Jessi of coming at you when you guys have been good, when you also apparently have come at her when she thought you guys were good. It can't just be, I could do it when I want, but she can't do it. It's either you both can do it or neither of you can do it.
I'm gonna go through these. They're gonna be on screen if you want to pause or read them. On December 14th, 2017.
Okay, we are going to read it because I don't think she reads them. And if she does, we'll get double the read, but I'm pretty sure she doesn't read a vast majority of them. So let's see. December 2017. Gabbie says, hey girl, I have an idea I'd like to throw out, LOL. Oh my God, this is Gabbie, new number. Jessi says, hey, what's that? So let me just off the bat say, you can tell that they weren't in communication before this point because she had to announce that she was Gabbie and it was a new number, which shows that she didn't think to give Jessi her new number earlier and just kind of thought of her later and was like, hey, it's Gabbie, here's my new number. But clearly they're not close enough where the contact would have been immediately addressed, like, hey, I got a new number, just so you know, this is me. So clearly they're not in constant contact, okay? We can gauge that from this. Now, Jessi's response is open but reserved because she just says, hey, what's that? She's not friendly like, hey, girl. Like, she's not giving her a hey, girl back. She's just like, hey, what's that? Like, what's up? Okay. So she's reserved. And in my opinion, rightfully so, because again, this is a weird friendship, a weird dynamic. Jessi seems like she wants to hear her out, but she's not sure what's going on. So to me, this looks like Jessi is kind of an open person in the sense where even if someone hurt her, she looks like she's still willing to hear her out. So let's see. Gabbie says, how do you feel about just doing a video together, telling both our sides of the story, and basically settling our differences on camera? I feel like people have been asking for literal years. We both keep passive-aggressively randomly saying things about it. We both have very different perceptions of what... Okay. I need to stop this here. There's like so many things I want to say about this. So she was mad that Jessi didn't ask video. She was mad that Jessi did a questions video where she answered a question. Yet her proposal was, hey, we should go do this big long video together where we address it. So why is it only okay if you both address it together, but it's not okay if Jessi makes a comment about it in her own video? Because in this text, she says, you and I have both been passive-aggressively talking about it. That means they've both been making comments about it. So again, if that's the case, then why did what Jessi do in that specific video, why was that enough to spiral into a more public feud? If they both have been passive-aggressive for years, then what does it matter if Jessi was passive-aggressive one more time? Also, I will say, I don't know if it would have been the best idea to do a video together because there was too much trauma and too much drama. But I do kind of wonder if it would have been better to just both say it at the same time and then leave it open to public interpretation. Because again, they don't see each other's sides. So if you would have let the public in to be like, oh, here's what I see, here's what I see, here's what I see, maybe potentially it could have given them both a clearer understanding of each other. But I don't know, because I feel like people have kind of tried to tell Gabbie why she hurt Jessi or how it was wrong, and she still doesn't see it. So maybe not, but let's keep going.
I told her I had an idea. What if we just do a video together telling both our sides, even though
Wait, she skips it. Okay, she says, we both have very different perceptions of what happened between us. I think it would be honestly good content. Would be good for our channels and would hopefully be really good for both our souls. Even though I think we're both happy in life and doing well, and to my knowledge have no bad blood anymore, it's always something floating around. Wait, one thing I will point out, I think it's kind of weird that she said it would be good content and good for our channels, as opposed to opening it up first with, I think it would really help us understand each other and would be good to move forward in a more civil way. I don't think it's good for our channel, it's good content is the lead to go with, because now it just seems like you're trying to, bank off of your issue with her? Which, fine, fair enough if you're both okay with it, but I still think that that's an odd way to propose it. I personally, if I was the friend, I would be a little bit offended, and I'd be like, wait, why is it both good for our souls at the end of the list of why it would be good to do together? You know what I mean?
just do a video together telling both our sides, even though I think we're both happy in life and doing well, we have no bad blood anymore.
So she says, it's always something floating around in my mind as sort of an unsettled score. Maybe that's just me, haha. If I don't answer, it's 4:18 here. I could come to Florida sometime in the new year. Now, Jessi says, well, blank, that's not what I thought your idea would be at all, lol. I'm not against the idea, but would we actually put everything behind us when we're done? Because honestly, Gabbie, having the videos to explain to our viewers, okay, before we go on, Jessi again, open but reserved. She seems like she's like, okay, it could possibly be a good idea, but if we do this, are we actually going to be good? Jessi seems more concerned that when they're good, they're not really good, which is the truth. When they're good, they're not really good. So she's a little bit more cautious about doing this. I would be too. They just have too messy of a friendship where if they're good, they're not good, they're good, they're not good. So I understand Jessi's reluctance here.
It's always something floating around in my mind as sort of an unsettled score. Maybe that's just me. And then she responded saying that.
So she says, because honestly, Gabbie, having the videos to explain to our viewers aside, I hate the tension between us. Okay, I'm going to stop here for a second. Because I feel here that Jessi views the friendship or viewed the friendship more real than Gabbie, and I'm going to explain why. Notice that Jessi says, the video aside, videos and our viewers aside, I personally hate the tension between us. So Jessi's leading more with, if we do this, will it really fix us? I don't really care about the views and content. Will it really stop the tension here? Because I don't like it. That to me reads more genuine, that Jessi cares more about, she's not thinking of it as a score settled. She's thinking of it as, can we both be at peace? That's what I'm getting from this. But then she goes on to say, it gives me a lot of anxiety whenever something with us flares up. I'm not sure if it does the same for you. For years, the passive aggressiveness has stayed the same, and I think it's because every time we talk about it, we just say, you're wrong and I'm right. But maybe after all these years, it's time to try and actually see where the other person was coming from, and maybe that's what will finally squash this stupid blank. Okay, this is just what I said. So Jessi, to me, reads like a very genuine person because she's like, video aside, I don't care about the video. I don't care about views. Can we do this? And if we do, maybe we will see where each other is wrong because we both keep saying you're wrong and I'm right. The fact that Jessi would even say that, like the fact that she would even say, look, we both say you're wrong and I'm right. We both do it. But hey, maybe if we get some clarity, maybe if we get some outside opinions, we'll get some clarity with it and it will actually help us. It'll help us. That to me seems like, I'm not saying it doesn't bother Gabbie as much as it bothers Jessi. I think it does bother them both. to very similar capacities, just not the same. But to me, I would be curious why Gabbie didn't open this up with, hey, should we fix this for us? And then it would also be good content. Whereas Jessi's just straight up like, hey, would this be good for us? Like, she's not even mentioning the content.
She hates the tension between us. It gives her anxiety. It'd be nice to try and see.
She says, between us, because we both hurt each other a lot. I'm willing to do that. And if you are too, then I think the videos wouldn't be a bad idea. Because if I go on you now and get asked one more blanket question about us, I'm out of here, LMAO. Again, to me, Jessi even being willing to say, we both hurt each other, she's taking accountability for something that she did and saying that she also hurt Gabbie and she knows she did. I feel like this message was very open. It was very emotionally mature. She responded very nicely. I'm a little confused why Gabbie only said ha 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 ha. Maybe that was just her natural reaction. But I would think that this, oh, it does look like she writes a para afterward. But yeah, I would think that this deserves a para response back. Because Jessi's clearly saying, I don't like how this ended. I don't like where it is now. I want this to be better.
See where the other person was coming from because we both hurt each other a lot and that she's willing to do that. I said I'd like to come to.
She keeps skipping.
Because we both hurt each other a lot and that she's willing to do that.
So Gabbie says, oh my God, what did you think it was going to be? And yeah, that would be the hope. Even if we don't completely agree, which let's be honest, with our stubborn blanks, I'm sure we won't at everything. I'd love to come to a mutual understanding.
I said I'd like to.
I still miss you like an ex, LMAO. And then Jessi says, LMAO, well listen, have a good holiday and just let me know when you'd like to come. I have a small apartment, but you're welcome to stay. I also have a baby that cries a lot. So that's something to, okay, let me backtrack here. I do feel like you can miss a friendship like an ex. So I do feel like Gabbie's being genuine when she says that. I don't know how much she actually misses Jessi though. I kind of get the vibe that Jessi, I could be wrong. I get the vibe that Jessi is more, I don't want to say she misses Gabbie, but her personal response and emotional response came off more like it still haunts her, okay? Like it still bothers her. Like what they had was something so deep and good, or at least something so deep that it still messes with her, that something so deep and personal could have become what it is now. That's the vibe I'm getting. I don't know if it's the same on Gabbie's end because, again, she's only talking about really content right now. And she has been kind of, I don't want to say vague, but superficial, like surface level, whereas Jessi's kind of being more personal with her emotions. Gabbie's not being as personal back. Gabbie's not sharing her own emotions back, but Jessi is. That's why I'm getting the vibe that Jessi wants to reconcile, but in a way to just make them civil, maybe not be best friends again.
To come to a mutual understanding.
She says, I also have a baby that cries a lot, so that's something to consider, LOL, but yes. A mutual understanding would be good enough for me after all this time. Gabbie says, I love that. I also knew you'd answer hella early because said baby, who by the way is so blank and handsome, what the F? He looks like he's molded out of clay. He's so, and then it like cuts off. I think it's interesting to me that Jessi, even as a mother, like she's taking care of her baby, even takes time to be like, look, I'm a mother. I'm kind of busy, but yes, I will do this with you. I do want to have a good understanding. Again, I think that goes to show that that this bothered Jessi so much that she was willing to go and handle this to make sure it was over. I'm getting genuine vibes from Jessi here, so I'm not sure why Gabbie never did. Let's keep going though.
She said have a good holiday, offered.
He looks like he's molded out of clay. He's so perfect. But I'll work out some scheduling after the holidays and we'll find a date. Have a nice Christmas, Jessi. Jessi says, LOL, thank you. I'm still not sure how I created him. It makes my heart want to explode every day and sounds good. Merry Christmas. So they both look like they're open to reconciling. Again, I find it a little weird that Gabbie opened up with it being content, but Jessi didn't seem to find it that weird. So I'm not going to harp too much on that. Jessi was just clearly very open to the idea. Now, maybe this is the video that they decided not to do that ended up kind of sparking more resentment because if you come to someone with an idea, and maybe this is what she meant instead of the vegan video, when she said, well, I was going to do a video, but then I didn't do it. Well, if you thought you guys were good and you were going to do this video and then you kind of yank it away, it would leave Jessi or the other person to feel like, wait, so you don't want to make up now? Like, why did you come to me with this idea where we would make up and things would be good and now you don't want to do that? I would also be like, that's strange.
For me to stay at her place. And then a few days later, she texted me.
So Jessi texts her later, opens up the line of communication, and says, hey, so I know this is random, but I'm actually trying to get away from making videos for good, and I'm starting to edit videos / thumbnails for other creators on the side. So if you ever need anyone to do that, let me know. I pretty much just want to quit the internet and disappear forever, LOL. But yeah, just wanted to offer that in case you ever need it. You know we have the same video style and blank, so I thought it made sense. Okay, I want to say, this is the video we saw in this is the messaging we saw in the first video where Gabbie was kind of using it to say, look, Jessi was texting me, asking me for a job, and then trying to ruin my job. Now that I have more context after seeing that video and this video, I want to change my opinion about something. Gabbie said that she was surprised that Jessi would talk to her like this and then have an issue with her. At the time, I said, yeah, I can see why it would be confusing to get a text like this and then someone says something about you. But now that I have more context, I can see that this message came directly after Gabbie opened up to her first. So Gabbie came to her first and said, hey, do you want to do this video? And then Jessi was thinking, oh, we're going to like make things good again, right? So in my opinion, now with all this extra context in mind, Jessi messaging Gabbie in this manner looks more like an olive branch to me. This looks more like Gabbie sent me an olive branch. I'm going to send her one back. And I'm doing this anyway. Now that we're talking again, I'm going to try to show her like, hey, we're good. Do you want me to also do this favor for you that I'm doing for other people? Because again, this could be looked at as, oh, Jessi wants Gabbie to do her a favor, but that's not it at all. And Jessi saying, I will do you a favor. Like, I will edit for you if you want this. She's just offering her something that she was offering other people because Gabbie reached out and gave her an olive branch. This is Jessi's olive branch. That changes the way I look at this because without the context, when I didn't know when this text came and it just looked like she was offering to do a job and it looks like, oh, we can work together, but then there's an issue. This is different now though, you guys, because now it looks like olive branch, and now the video idea doesn't go through. I can see why Jessi would then not have the same feelings she had here that she does later. This is why context matters.
Saying that she wanted to get away from making videos, she wanted to start editing and asked me if she could edit for me, talking about anxiety blankets, talking about this horrible guy I met on.
Okay, wait, let's go back.
She wanted to get away from making videos, she wanted to start editing and asked me if she could edit for me, talking
She keeps going too fast.
She wanted to get away from making videos, she wanted to start editing and asked me if she could edit for me.
So Gabbie says, I've been considering letting go of editing. It's so hard, LMAO. I'll let you know if I ever take the plunge. I'm going to keep an ear out for other people too, and I actually love that. So Gabbie responds kindly. She accepts the olive branch. And again, this isn't a favor Gabbie would be doing for Jessi to hire her. This is a favor Jessi is doing for Gabbie. As Gabbie just said, editing is hard, okay? So Jessi is kind of like, hey, I could take this off your plate. We're trying to be good. We're going to do this video together. Let me show that I can also be nice, which I think is a nice gesture, but let's go on. Jessi says, I know I have the same attachment to editing. I get it. But yeah, just let me know if you ever decide you need the help, if you know, it probably says anyone else. Again, if you need the help, this is Jessi offering to help Gabbie. It's not kind of the line of, oh, she wanted a job from me and now she does this. Like to me, it doesn't look like Jessi's begging for a job. It looks like Jessi's just trying to be nice in return.
Talking about anxiety blankets.
Jessi, I don't know what she said prior, but Gabbie says, yo, I have one of those blankets. I love it. Jessi says, LOL, it's great. So this looks like in December they were talking a lot, okay? In the month of December, I don't know how often they were talking. It kind of looks very sporadic because they started on what, the 17th, around there? Now it's the 31st. But then look, they don't talk again until May, okay? That's 5 months later. There's no communication between either one of them, and the video has not been done yet. So in my opinion, if I were Jessi and I got a message 5 months later, I probably wouldn't be having the same openness as I had back in December, right? Because back in December, you guys were working towards something. There looked to be a little bit of consistency, and now there's a 5 month gap of no speaking. But after 5 months, Gabbie says, Jessi, remember that horrible guy I met on Tinder who told me I was fat and my 15 minutes of fame was almost up because I wouldn't sleep with him? And then Jessi says, how could I forget? LOL. Gabbie says, I swiped right on Tinder just to see, and we matched, and he asked me if I wanted to get a drink. Okay, two things here. Once again, Jessi is more reserved. You can see that because before she was texting paragraphs, she was open, and now she's just giving a one-liner again with a little LOL. It's kind of how when Gabbie first reached out, how Jessi responded, where she's open to responding, but she's reserved because she's like, why are you writing to me? That's the vibe I'm getting. So now it's kind of like Jessi was open. She was opening herself up emotionally. They were potentially going to get along. There's a 5 month gap, and now Gabbie's trying to act friendly again, and now Jessi's not on that same wavelength. But you can't expect her to be. You just took 5 months. And yes, I get it. People are busy. Everyone has busy lives, especially two influencers, one of who's a mother and one who has a lot of things going on. I get it. But I also understand why Jessi would be more reluctant to engage because it's like, are we just going to engage once a month or like once every 5 months, be open and then go ghost again or go quiet again? I don't know. I wouldn't be about that either. But as far as the Tinder thing goes, that's so Gabbie coded to like only swipe right to see if the guy liked her back because that's Gabbie. Let's keep going.
Talking about this horrible guy I met on Tinder.
Like he's not pretending to not know who I am. He just genuinely thinks I'd get a drink with him. Jessi says, LMAO, I think that means you've made it. To which Gabbie says, I think that means I've dated everyone I can date and the universe is doing blank. Okay, again, Jessi is responding. She's being friendly. She's a little bit reserved, but I don't blame her. I feel like anyone would be reserved. It's kind of like, have you guys ever had a friend who you were close with once and now you're kind of not that close? You kind of been pulled in different directions in life, but every so often you'll talk, but when you do, it's not the same. Because like you guys once were close, so you know how close you could be, but now when they talk to you, it's so distant that you're kind of like, why are we even talking? Like, are we talking just to be civil? Are we talking just to talk? Like, what's the point of this like relationship or this friendship if it's not going to go anywhere? You know what I mean?
Now he asked me out again. Then I saw
Okay, the last thing they said was Jessi did laughing face emojis. Now, 2 months later, Gabbie texts her again. One thing I will say, a little pattern I noticed, and maybe it's not a big deal to some, but I don't know. Jessi keeps being left on red. So Jessi's always the last to reply. And then Gabbie doesn't really initiate any more combo. And Gabbie and Jessi even earlier, remember when a few days later she texted with the offer of the olive branch? To me, that was when Jessi was open, like, oh, let's keep this going. Let's do this video. Let's like, go through with this. Let's have a follow through. There's no follow through. We're now on to month 7. They've still not done a video. And all Jessi is receiving is little random texts of them trying to be friendly with each other. I can see why she would be reserved because this is very strange. But 7 months in, Gabbie says, girl, coming back to LA? How exciting. What prompted that? Just missing it? Oh my God, yay for no humidity. Jessi says, hey, yeah, it really came down to where I want to raise Noah, and that sure as blank isn't Miami. Also, I miss it so, so, so much and the people I left behind. My mom, Joey, everyone's coming too, so that made the decision easier. So you can see here, Jessi responds nicely. Jessi is not as reserved. She's not as reluctant to engage. Maybe she was thinking, oh, now that we'll both be in the same place, we could do this video. I don't know. That's just my theory. But she's pretty open. She's talking about her son. She's talking about her mom, her brother. Joey is her brother, not Joey Kursefa. I got confused there for a second. But she's clearly open. They're clearly communicating again. And Gabbie did reach out first. But again, Gabbie is reaching out first, which is a nice gesture. But if you have this video lingering in the back of your head, like you both agreed to do a video, but then nobody's talking about it, I would find the like random texts to be weird because I'd be like, when are we ever going to address this video that we both agreed to do, but let's keep going. Gabbie responds and says, "Oh my God, the fam is coming? What about your little bro? Is he staying or coming? Is Joey still in music?"
That she was moving to LA. We talk about her family.
Jessi says, "He's coming too, and my stepdad. They're selling their house, mostly because they can't stand to not watch Noah grow up, but they also need a change. And yeah, Joey is actually performing in Virginia Beach now and trying to start his music back up. We both have crippling anxiety, so our careers have been on hold." Honestly, this is very sweet. It seems like Jessi has a very tight-knit family, because for her to move away and then her whole family to want to come with because they don't want to be away from her or the baby, that's such a close-knit family. That's randomly a side note, very sweet to see how close they all are. Now, she again is clearly being very open, very personal. She's sharing information with Gabbie. She's not being reserved. She's actually being like, she's offering more information than is needed, which goes to show she's trying to engage and keep the connection going. Now, Gabbie says, "Oh, wow, I knew you did. I never knew Joey did."
We talk about moving.
Oh, Gabbie then says, "Where the F is your song about Nassim?" Nassim is Jessi's husband. So Jessi says, "Joey has it 10,000 times worse than me, actually."
And I asked her.
Okay, there's censored information, so we won't read it. So Jessi shares information that Gabbie ends up censoring. Now, something weird to me is the information actually was seen in the other cap. I'm going to go ahead and edit it just to protect the privacy of the person. But moving on, Jessi says, "And ugh, you sound like my dad, LMAO. I don't know. I've been wanting to record it forever and just haven't, especially now with Noah. I always convince myself I don't have time." Gabbie says, "Well, convince yourself you do. We're waiting. Haha. I feel like you'd enjoy doing it so much and would." Now, again, these two are clearly trying to be nice to each other. They're kind of trying to catch up and open up to each other. There is civility here. They're both being nice. They're both engaging and both kind of putting in the same energy and effort. Again, to me, it does seem like Jessi sharing more than Gabbie is, but maybe that's just kind of how they've always been.
Her where her song is about Nassim, because she said that she wrote a song about her husband that she never put out. She said she hadn't recorded it. I said
Gabbie says, "I feel like you'd enjoy doing it so much and would feel super fulfilled. Don't ignore the artist in you. I can't imagine how hard it is with having a baby, but I just want you to do what you love too. And you're such a talented singer. The world needs you." Jessi says, "Thanks a lot for saying that. Sometimes I forget you are my #1 fan, always at the front of the stage, LOL." Gabbie then says, "Ouch, my heart. Haha." So Gabbie's gassing her up. Jessi is very appreciative of it. This does seem very nice from Gabbie. She's telling her, the world needs to hear you sing. You're a good singer. She is being very nice. Again, though, as nice as it is, I do wonder, what was Jessi feeling about this video that Gabbie first reached out to her for, just not coming to fruition? Like, was that always in the back of her minds? Because look at the text now. Well, we're in July at this point, right? This is July. And now if you go to the next text, it's not until December 2018. Why is there such long gaps between them talking when there's supposedly a video idea in place, right? That's what I'm thinking. And yes, this is probably the first time that Gabbie gets left on red. And I understand sometimes being left on red, there's not always things to respond to. So like, for instance, if Jessi did a bunch of laughing emojis earlier, maybe Gabbie left her on red because she's like, why would I just respond to laughing emojis? Or ouch, my heart. You could say, why would Jessi respond to that? There's just like, at some point a conversation ends, okay? But you can see that neither party is trying to continue the conversation. Neither one of them are trying to double text or go on more. The only time we saw that was when Jessi reached out initially a few days later to give her own olive branch to Gabbie. Now let's keep going.
I feel like you'd enjoy it so much and would feel super fulfilled. Don't ignore the artist in you. I can't imagine how hard it is, blah, blah, blah. And she said, "Thanks a lot for saying that. Sometimes I forget you are my #1 fan."
So the next time that they talk is in December of 2018. Okay, so 5 months later, because that was July, 5 months later, Gabbie messages Jessi first. She says, "Girl, I'm cracking the F up at you getting the first apartment you saw because that's so you. Ha ha ha. But I has this cute thought I wanted to share." Someday you and your boys move into your dream house and Noah is going to be a grow up. I think she meant grown up. And you're going to tell him, okay, I don't know where that's going.
And always at the front of the stage.
And it skips that, so I don't know where that went. But you can tell Gabbie reaching out is Gabbie now trying to, again, try to talk to Jessi. But again, I think the issue is even if you're reaching out and you're being friendly and she's being friendly back, you still have this video that you're both not addressing that you both said you were going to do to fix the friendship. But what you're doing is kind of you're just privately texting. And even though it feels like you might be fixing the friendship too, you guys have already proven that you can't do that just in private texts. And there can be passive aggressive behavior. So why are we not talking about the video? You know? Okay. Now, I don't know when this comes, but maybe this is a response to what we just read. Jessi says, Miami for my blank, 2-bedroom apartment. So 2,200 is great, LMAO. Gabbie says, oh my God, your whole blank fam is coming. Wow, love that. Are you going to look in the valley? Lots of more affordable places up there. I'm moving to the valley. If you do like Sherman Oaks, Encino, etc., it's right on the border of like Studio City, but it's insanely cheap for an extra 10 monitors drive. It's so insane. And then she said an extra 10 minutes. Also, Calabasas is so cheap and has massive properties. I wonder if she meant massive.
LA, I'm giving.
Jessi says, really, I was going to try Burbank because I don't want to be super in LA like when I was downtown, but I'm going to look into those places. Thank you. Calabasas is cheap? I thought it was the opposite, LOL. My mom keeps saying she wants to live in Calabasas. You know what's so funny about Jessi saying that is when I read Calabasas is cheap, I was like, to who? To who is Calabasas cheap? You have to have money to live in Calabasas. That's where the Kardashians live or lived. And that's not a secret. They've always made it known. I think they even have a shop, or they used to have a shop there called Dash, which was in Calabasas. So you can see here, they're being very friendly. Jessi, once again, is being very receptive. She's talking to her with the same energy, the same effort level. She's not reserved. She's being nice. They're both being nice to each other. But again, I would think that the video is probably lingering in the back of Jessi's head, or at least it would be for me if I had a friend I had a falling out with come to me and say, hey, you want to do this video and kind of like make up? And then all of a sudden she's only just texting me every so often. I'd be like, bro, where's the video?
Her advice, telling her different areas.
So Gabbie says, no, dude, like, okay, I'm looking at houses and the same house or bigger with a massive yard is over $1 million less in Calabasas. It sounds expensive because celebrities live out there, haha. But it's actually cheaper because it's so far from the city. But that's perfect for you because you don't really want to be in the city. But it's still really not that far. It's like maybe an hour. Woodland Hills too. I don't know the price comparison to Burbank, but don't something. So they're just getting into property talk, area talk. It is funny because I feel like Jessi's being more reasonable. Just knowing the area as I do, I feel like Jessi's kind of being more reasonable with her options, whereas Gabbie's are a little bit more extravagant, or, Calabasas is up there. That's all I'll say.
Areas and tips.
So Gabbie says, don't count it out without looking. I could find something really great, maybe even a house to rent instead of an apartment if you're into that. Jessi says, blank, that's actually very useful information, LOL. And yes, I do prefer a house to rent, actually just better parking and stuff. Gabbie says, yeah, especially with a baby, you never know if you're going to have a noisy blank neighbor or some annoying blank like that. Jessi says, yeah, I'm terrified with the blanking fires. Girl, accurate. Fires in Cali, so scary. And you always have to worry about them from every angle too, because they're everywhere. But seems like these two are getting along, and Jessi actually seems really appreciative of Gabbie's efforts to keep the conversation going, to help her out, to try to be like, because Gabbie's not just being like, I'm bored, let me talk to you. She's actually been like, hey, do you want to go here? Maybe you could go here. Maybe you could go here. Like, it is a very informative and helpful conversation.
Tips on living in California.
Jessi says, to live in a house away from LA. Gabbie says, okay, yeah, that is true. Calabasas did almost get hit, but also I guess it's just kind of wherever you live, there's a risk of something scary. True, but yeah, fires are kind of a big deal in California, kind of everywhere, but in specific areas, sometimes more than others.
California. At this point,
Okay, now we're on December 3rd. Gabbie says, wait, Jessi, I'm doing a vegan video in the new year. If you're here and somewhat settled when I do it, will you please make me a vegan dinner, LMAO? Jessi says, LOL, yeah, sure. I've been vegan for so long, I know how to make almost anything vegan at this point. Okay, two things here. Gabbie reaches out to her again with another video idea. And Jessi, she, in my opinion, she seems a tad bit reluctant, but still open because she starts with like LOL. I always feel like people are reluctant when they LOL. But I can understand because she was already come to with an idea. Like Gabbie already came to her with an idea that never came to fruition. And now Gabbie's coming to her with another idea of another video that never comes to fruition. At this point, Jessi thinks they're cool, but now there's two videos hanging above their head that they could potentially do that they never do. Okay? Now, Gabbie leaves Jessi on red. She does not respond. And then Jessi doesn't seem to hold anything against her because 2 weeks later, she writes to her and says, hey, what is the name of the apartment building you mentioned that has the bedrooms for 2,200? And then Gabbie says, that's my building. So even though Jessi was left on red and the video idea never went anywhere and there was no conversation other than that, Jessi still reached out to talk to her, okay? And even though it was to ask for the bedroom thing, it was still, in my opinion, it's still like, she's still being like, hey, what was the suggestion you gave me? Because Jessi could be doing this by herself, but she's like, hey, I took your suggestion seriously. Which one is it? You know? So it's kind of showing her like, hey, I remembered what you said to me when you reached out and gave me that effort. Can you please give it to me again? Or can you please tell me more about it?
asked her if she wanted to do a vegan video because she was moving to LA. I was planning on doing a vegan video that I obviously never did. And she was.
But again, that's kind of the point, Gabbie. It's like you offered two videos that you never did, and you didn't even give her a follow-up to that comment. So why are you asking her to do videos that you never want to do? Because you can't paint this in a friendly light like, oh, we were on good terms, we were even going to do videos together, but you never followed through with those videos, and you never told her why you didn't follow through with them.
She was down to film it, asked me again about apartments in California.
Gabbie says, that's my building. Warning, they're not hella modern and are carpeted. If that's a non-starter, I don't mind it, but I know you like modern. I'm going to censor that because I don't know if she meant to put that out there, but I'm just going to be safe. So Jessi says, ugh, I don't even care anymore, LOL. I just wanted blank in place, and it's such a mission doing it from Miami. I'm even considering Palmdale, which is quite literally in BFE. And then Gabbie says, what's BFE? Oh, bum F. And then Jessi says, yes, LOL. Again, this is what I mean by Jessi's very reasonable with her locations. Palmdale is a very inexpensive place, but it's kind of like the desert. There's like nothing going on in Palmdale. It's just all desert and basically almost all farm property. There's just not a whole lot you can do there or that's going on. So the fact that Jessi's considering even Palmdale goes to show she's thinking reasonably about her pricing, like what she wants to pay. And she's trying to, you know, get the most bang for her buck because you can get better properties in Palmdale. However, again, it's kind of like far out. It's like, I think it's like an hour out from LA.
California. And at this point.
Okay. Gabbie says, did you check Calabasas? Jessi says, yeah, but it's like $1 million a month. Gabbie says, really? Maybe it's just a better deal to buy and not rent. Okay. To me, it's kind of weird because it's like, she's talking about Palmdale, and then Gabbie goes, did you check Calabasas? If someone just told you they're considering Palmdale, I guess you would have to know the areas to know this, but Palmdale and Calabasas are vastly different. If someone is checking Palmdale, they're clearly checking it to be more reasonable with their cost, right? They don't want to pay too much, but they want to pay enough to get something good. I'm not saying like Palmdale's like $1. It is, you know, every place is expensive, let's be real. But I am saying it's a more reasonable purchase. Whereas Gabbie's like, are you thinking of Calabasas? Like, why would you consider Calabasas if you're considering Palmdale? You're clearly considering Palmdale because you're thinking this is pretty reasonable. Calabasas is unreasonable.
It was December of 2018. So this was a full year of us being super chill and everything was fine. And then
But yeah, but it's also a full year of no video. and now no 2 videos. You promised 2 videos, and now neither one of them are coming to fruition. So yes, you've been talking for a full year, but you've not been talking consistently for that full year. You've been okay in and out, but there's no video. You guys didn't do the reconciliation that you said you would do to put everything behind you. This is kind of just like sweeping things under the rug when you promised to both lift the rug up together and clean it out. At some point, the person who's waiting to lift the rug up with you is getting tired of sweeping things under the rug with you. They want to lift it up now and clean it. But let's see, 2 months later in February, Gabbie sends Jessi a tweet that says, "What did you do to Jessi Smiles? She just made a video and said how you hurt her in unimaginable ways, and people in the comments are saying how toxic you are." This was to Gabbie. So Gabbie says, "What's this about?" to Jessi.
I get a screenshot in February of 2019, and this is when I was going through a lot of drama. Every day was a new video, people were speculating on my friendships, and I get a tweet saying, "What did you do to Jessi Smiles? She just made a video and said how you hurt her in unimaginable ways, and people in the comments are saying how toxic you are." So
I don't know what video they're referring to here. However, it's not a lie. That is how Jessi said that she felt with Gabbie, that she felt hurt in unimaginable ways. Like, even if she didn't verbatim say that, she has said that she's been hurt by Gabbie. So I can see why she would say that. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that. Because people are saying, or the person said, the comments are saying how toxic you are. Okay, but Jessi didn't say it. The comments did.
I screenshotted that, I sent it to her, and I said, "What's this about?" Because this was something that was a common thread in our relationship where I felt like we were fine and on good terms, and then there would be a comment in a video that would spark tweets, or there would be a subtweet that would spark some type of conversation about what.
Okay, but Gabbie, that's why you said you wanted to make the initial video with Jessi where you stop the passive-aggressive comments and do the video. You didn't do the video. So the passive-aggressive comments are, of course, going to continue to come. In my opinion, that doesn't even seem passive-aggressive. She just said you hurt her, which you did. You both admitted to hurting each other. She's allowed to speak about that. She is. It might be frustrating to you. It might be annoying, but she's allowed to say that you hurt her.
What happened between our friendships. I asked her, "What is this about?"
Jessi says, "LOL, oh God, I knew this would happen. I literally addressed all the people asking if we are going to film together and said, I don't know, but that it might not even be a good idea because we both hurt each other and we should leave it in the past. It's in my new video, like halfway through. I didn't say you just hurt me, LOL. I want everyone to literally shut up about our blank forever." Okay, one thing I will say. It's interesting that finally, like after a year, the video is addressed and it's Jessi saying, people asked about a video and I said, we're probably not going to do it and maybe we shouldn't. Or Jessi said, I don't know if we're going to do it, but maybe we shouldn't. To me, it's like finally after a year, this is finally addressed and Gabbie doesn't even respond to the idea of them doing the video, but it was her idea in the first place. So Jessi's allowed to say, oh, I don't know if we're doing the video, but maybe we shouldn't because we both hurt each other, so maybe we should just leave it alone. There's nothing wrong with saying that, in my opinion. There's nothing wrong with her saying that. So Gabbie took this as, oh, there's always a moment where Jessi will take something and say it and then use it to hurt me. I don't think that this is that. Now that I have more context on everything, that's not what Jessi's doing here. She just acknowledged something and said, oh, we're probably not going to do it. We hurt each other a lot. But let's keep going. Gabbie says, oh, I mean, the best way to do that is not to say we hurt each other, LOL. It's to just stop talking about it. Okay. That makes no sense, though, because Gabbie was the one who initially messaged Jessi and said, hey, what if we do this video where we both come together and talk about everything that happened between us? So how can you then go say, oh, the best way is to not say anything? Well, then why did you initially approach Jessi and say we should do a whole video on this? And when you first came to her about it, you said this is good content. So if it's good content and you wanted to use it for good content, why is Jessi not allowed to use it for content too? Even if it's just a slight mention, it could still be good content for her too. So if you both agree it's good content, you both agree it's fine, why is she not allowed to do it then?
And she said, LOL, oh God, I knew this would happen. I literally addressed all the people asking if we were gonna film together and said I don't know, but that it might not be a good idea because we both hurt each other. I didn't say you just hurt me. I just want everyone to literally shut up about our shit. So I said, oh, I mean the best way to do.
Again, nothing wrong with what Jessi said. Even if she said she hurt me, that's still a factual statement. They both hurt each other, yes, but even if she just said she hurt me, it's still facts. Okay, Gabbie said, it's to just stop talking about it, and then she put a sob face. Did you say I hurt you in unimaginable ways? Jessi said, nope. And then Gabbie said, are all the comments calling me toxic? Jessi said, not when I looked, I'll look now. Gabbie said, F, this is so stressful. There's such a hate train on me right now, and people are taking literally everything they can to make me look like a blank. Okay, I said blank because it was cut off. I want to say something. When Gabbie says, did you say I hurt you in unimaginable ways? This feels like a confrontation or like an interrogation. Because the way Jessi responds, like, nope. It's like she doesn't really owe you an explanation. And why don't you just go watch the video yourself to see what she did say about you? And even if she did say that you hurt her in unimaginable ways, you did. And you later said that Jessi hurt you in unimaginable ways too. So why is she not allowed to say that? If you know that you both hurt each other, why are you both not allowed to then say that you hurt each other? And then she says, are all the comments calling me toxic? Even if they were, that's not Jessi's problem. She cannot be held responsible for people calling Gabbie toxic. She just can't. So this to me comes off a little bit too much of an interrogation. Like, did you say this and are they calling me toxic? Because it's now trying to be like, well, they're only doing it because you said this.
Do that is definitely not to say we hurt each other, LOL. It's just to stop talking about it. So again, this is when I was going through a bunch of drama. This is after the monster meme. So I said, this is so stressful. There's such a...
She said, to make me look like a monster. This will most likely turn into a big drama channel story. Jessi said, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't want to cause drama, not even a little bit. No, it won't, LOL. I said nothing bad. Gabbie says, it's all right, I'm just stressed. Jessi says, or specific, don't worry. Watch it yourself to feel better. So to me, she's saying, just go watch it. It's not even what you're being told it is. Just go watch it. You'll feel better about what it is. I don't know myself what it is. I would love to see the footage to see who's right and who's wrong about this. But considering Jessi's telling her to go watch it, I'm gonna just assume that Jessi's being truthful here because she's literally directing her toward it. If she had something to hide, she would probably be more defensive. Instead, she's like, girl, just go watch it. You'll see it's not a big deal. And Gabbie telling Jessi that she's stressed and that she's going through a lot, etc. It is kind of putting a lot on Jessi because now it's trying to say, I'm stressed. This is stressing me out all because you did this. But again, she's allowed to say whatever she wants on her channel. And if you didn't want her to talk about it, why did you not go through with your idea for you both to talk about it at the same time and clear the table? You can't just message her like a few times every handful of months and think that that's enough to stop the passive aggressive comments when you already said it. You both keep doing it.
Hate train on me right now. This will most likely turn into a big drama channel story. And I know that this sounds really dramatic, but honestly, it's just how I felt. Like I was waking up every day anxious of my next scandal and the next story. So she said, I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't want to cause...
Which, okay, fair enough if you were worried about the next scandal, the next whatever. But again, you can't really control what other people say about you. And if Jessi said something that was kind of neutral or like, oh, I don't know if we're gonna do the video because we both hurt each other, or maybe it's too messy, because you didn't mention to her that you still wanted to do the video. You made no mention of it. So you can't be upset if she's like, oh, I don't know if we're doing it. Things are still kind of, things were messy. Gabbie says, but because I don't hang out with David and all them, people are already saying I'm a toxic friend and blank and running with it. So for sure they'll run with this. It's nuts how much people want me to fail right now, LOL. I believe you that you didn't say that. I don't need to watch. I don't need to watch though. Okay. Why are you... Okay. Okay, this is just me. But why would you even come to her without watching the video in the first place? Because if you're not going to watch it and you're going to come to her and be like, did you do this? Did you do this? Did you do this? I'm stressed. I'm stressed because of this. And now you're contributing to it. You can't say that to her if you didn't even watch the video. And now you're saying, oh, I believe you. I don't need to watch it. Okay, you believe her and you didn't need to watch it, but all it took was one tweet for you to come address it with her, like to confront her. I don't think that's fair. I think if you saw the tweet, you should have gone and watched the video, seen what she actually said, and then if you didn't like it, go talk to her. Because to not watch the video and even say, oh, I'm not going to watch it, it just kind of proves like, oh, so then what? If you did watch it and you saw that I didn't say anything, like you don't want to know? Like you would rather just have this idea in your head that I came at you, you know?
Drama, not even a little bit. I said, it's all right, I'm just stressed. She responds, yeah,
Jessi said, yeah, I get it. The last thing I want is stress or to cause stress. So for real, I'm sorry. I don't talk about it, but people literally don't leave me alone. In every Q&A, every video, people comment about you, and sometimes I get like actually mad and want to tell them to shut up, LOL. So this was kind of my way of doing that, but I'm not going to mention it from this point forward. I said what I had to, and I don't need to explain blank to people when it was between us, and so effing long ago. Gabbie says, I mean, no, I get it. I did the same thing about the vlog squad because I was tired of people asking. It was just really, and then it cuts off. Okay. Jessi here could have been defensive, but instead she was sympathetic and she was like, no, I get it. Going forward, I won't say anything. Even though she didn't say anything bad, she's like, look, I didn't know it was going to cause you stress, this little mention, if it did. And if it did, and if that's what causes stress, I won't do it again. So Jessi's being nice here. She's being sympathetic. She's like, look, I hear you. That wasn't my intention. But now that I know what happened, or if I contributed in any way, I'm going to make sure I don't next time.
I get it. The last thing I want is stress or to cause stress. So for real, I'm sorry. I don't talk about it, but people literally don't leave me alone. In every Q&A, every video, people comment about you, and sometimes I get like actually mad and want to tell them to shut up. LOL. So this was kind of my way of doing that, but I'm not going to mention it from this point forward. I said what I had to, and I don't need to explain shit to people when it was between us and so long ago. So I said,
the crazy thing is, though, is that they were going to address it to people. They were going to do it for the audience, but for some reason, they never ever spoke about it again. They both just agreed they would do it, and now Gabbie's like, well, we should both shut up about it. But why are you saying that a whole year later? Why didn't you say, hey, I changed my mind on that video idea. Instead, let's just both not talk about it. You kind of just left it up in the air, and then this happened. I can understand Jessi getting a lot of questions and then not wanting to, or like wanting to respond to stop getting the questions. Kind of like, here, this is where we're at. This is my last statement on it. Gabbie says, I mean, no, I get it. I did the same thing about the vlog squad because I was tired of people asking. It was just really bad timing because there's so much toxicity around me, like for real. Gabbie, Hanna, hate train, LOL. I'm sure that didn't cross your mind. I think the part about being filled with anxiety about my emails is kind of a negative connotation. I think a better way to address it would have been like, we're totally cool. We are, right? So stop effing asking me about we're both just grown up and have a baby, so go away, LOL. Like saying hyperventilating when okay, so it looks like maybe she did watch the video because it sounds like she's kind of quoting Jessi here. Because she's like, look, I get you wanted to address it. I did too when people were asking me about the vlog squad. So she's guilty of the same thing. She's saying it's just bad timing. But then she said, I think the part about being filled with anxiety about my emails is kind of a negative connotation. Okay, maybe that's true. It could, yeah. Anxiety could be a negative connotation, like it makes me, nervous. But again, you told her you were going to do a video to get rid of all this tension and all this anxiety, which Jessi told you she had. But you decided not to do the video, and now you're surprised that there's, in your opinion, another passive-aggressive comment. But you could have prevented it by going through with the video that you told her it was your idea that she agreed to, that you wanted to do. Because you can't say, oh, I think a better way to address it would have just said we're totally cool. But how are they totally cool if they only talk a couple of times every few months? That's not the same thing as like, we did this video, we addressed it, we're good. It's not the same. I now that I have like more context on everything, I don't think that Jessi was making snide comments or like hiding her hands. I don't think that. I feel like Jessi was just living her life and addressing the things that she wanted to address. I don't see any like stones being thrown yet. I don't see it. But also, I don't think it's fair for Gabbie to say, well, I think a better way you could have done it or you should have done it is this, because it's not her right to tell Jessi how to speak.
I think that's why you get so many.
She said, between us isn't really neutral because every time I emailed you, it was to try and like clear blank up with us, LOL. But yeah, not really like neutral. I think that's why you get so many comments and I don't, because you bring me up every few videos in some way. Not even negative, just saying maybe we'll collab is bringing me up to so people want the tea. But you told her you might collab, and saying we might collab when you came to her with 2 ideas, she's just repeating. Because okay, if people are like, "Oh my God, do you hate Gabbie? Does Gabbie hate you?" I think it's nice to say, "Well, we might collab," because you might have collabed. So why is that a bad thing for Jessi to bring you up in that capacity to get people off the backs of thinking you guys hate each other? That doesn't make sense to me. She's just saying, "Hey, we might collab." That shows that there's no bad blood between you two. That isn't a bad thing. Now, Jessi says, "I really don't bring it up every few videos, though, lol. I truly hear what you're saying, but I'm coming from a place of just speaking my mind when I feel I need to. Of course, I'm not neutral because," and then it cuts off. Yeah, I can understand why Jessi's like, "I don't bring it up, though," because that is an accusation for Gabbie to say, "Well, I think the reason you get comments and I don't is because you talk about it more than I do." Because she's kind of laying the blame on Jessi there by saying, "You're doing something wrong. That's why you're getting this negative reaction, whereas I don't, so I'm not." I don't think that's fair. And I think Jessi has every right to say, "But I'm not bringing it up. I'm just talking about, I'm just living life. And then when I want to address something, I just address it." That's fine. You shouldn't have to walk on eggshells and be like, "Ooh, can I not mention this?" Like, there's nothing wrong with Jessi saying, "Hey, we might collab." There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, that's quieting the storm. That's telling people, "No, girl, we're good." Or, "No, guy, we're good. We might collab together. You might even see us on your channel." It's not Jessi's fault that you didn't go through with those collabs, or you're not telling her that those collabs are never going to happen. So you can't act like you guys are on, a good note, but then she doesn't even know where the note is because you're only popping up every so often, not consistently. So Jessi had said, as we read before, "I have my own perspective and I share it on every subject of my life. It truly wasn't meant to hurt you. I didn't even think you'd see it, to be honest, and I do want to say sorry if it causes you added stress." So, again, I truly don't believe that she was being malicious just based off everything we've seen so far. She is allowed to share her own perception of her own life on her own channel.
Just to explain this in sort of a quick way, it's just like I said, I felt we were cool, and every few videos or every few months there would be like a tweet or comment in a video that would cause.
Okay, wait. So she says, "I didn't know there was a hate train against you, or honestly, I would have just left out the question." Now, Gabbie's saying, there's this pattern where we'll be cool, and then every few videos she'll bring me up. Now, when she first ever said this and she was showing her evidence, I could see why she was confused, and I could see how people were like, "Oh, wait, she's trying to be cool with her," but then things are coming up. But if you look at this added context of the entire conversation, the dates, the timeline, the fact that she said they would do a video and then never did, I can see now that it's not exactly the way it was presented. Jessi saying things in her own videos is not the same as like Jessi talking about things in her own videos is not a big deal. She's allowed to say what she wants, and she even said that she said it more neutrally, like, "Oh, we both hurt each other. We're probably not going to do a video." Again, Gabbie says, "Oh, this is a pattern. It would happen all the time. Every few videos, she'd bring me up." Okay, but the whole reason Gabbie reached out in the first place was to say, "Hey, I don't want these passive aggressive comments from either one of us anymore. Why don't we just do a video together?" But then she never did the video. So it's like you wanted to do this video to end all of this, but then you just never even brought it up ever again. So why did you reach out to Jessi in the first place if the whole entire reason you reached out to her was for that video to squash things? I don't get it.
Me to get a bunch of these tweets. So she said, "I truly hear what you're saying, but I'm coming from a place of just speaking my mind when I feel I need to. Of course, I'm not neutral because it's impossible to be. I have my own perspective and I share it on every subject of my life. It truly wasn't meant to hurt you. I didn't even think you'd see it, to be honest, and I do want to say sorry if it causes you added stress because I never want that for anyone. I didn't know there was a hate train against you, or honestly, I would have just left out the question entirely, but look, I hear you. Either way, I won't be bringing it up again, especially not if you feel
like I'm using it for views, because that is literally not how I'm wired. Regardless, I'm glad we're in a place where we can speak civilly about this and not freak out on each other. We've come a long way." So even though Gabbie kind of initiated the conversation in somewhat of a slightly subtly accusatory way, Jessi was still actually very receptive and was like, "Hey, I'm glad we could talk about this. I'm glad you could come to me. I'm glad we can resolve this conflict." Now, Gabbie responds and says, Oh, I don't think you did it for views, haha, or else you would have titled it that way or something. I just think if you truly want it to be over, saying things that fuel the curiosity, like how much anxiety my emails gave you or how bad we hurt each other, definitely feeds into the narrative, whereas saying and then it cuts off. Here's the thing though. She's saying, oh, if you truly want it to be over, you'll just leave it alone. But then why did Gabbie have the idea of doing a video together where they both addressed everything? Isn't that what was supposed to end it? Not just sweeping it under the rug, because she already said them sweeping it under the rug proved that that didn't help things. So why didn't she go through with the thing that she thought would, especially if Jessi was on board? Like Jessi saying her emails give me anxiety. That's okay to say. I know it bothers Gabbie because nobody wants to hear that about themselves. And yeah, it could paint Gabbie in a negative light, like, oh, now people think I'm a monster because I'm giving you anxiety. But it's okay if friends fall out and then the other one says, even reading her emails gave me anxiety. Because even as outside of like, oh, you were a negative person, even outside of that, a feud where you're falling out with your best friend, it could give you anxiety to hear from them again, even in general. So I don't think she was calling her a monster, is what I'm saying.
Feel like I'm using it for views because that is literally not how I'm wired, which I didn't say that she was using it for views. Regardless, I'm glad we're in a place where we can speak civilly about this and not freak out on each other. We've come a long way. And I said,
But even if she was using it for views, which I don't think she was, even if she was, who cares? When Gabbie first presented the idea of doing a video together, it was for views. She said it would get good views and it would be good content. So who cares if Jessi was using it for views? I'd be like, so would it matter? That was Gabbie's initial idea. So Gabbie says, um, like how much anxiety my emails gave you or how bad we hurt each other definitely feeds into the narrative, whereas saying the more positive truth of we were kids, we both grew up and moved on, people change, I'm a mom and don't need to deal with it, and I'm over it, would more likely blank people up, but you're free to speak your mind. Obviously, just if you want it to be over, I think there's other ways to do it, LOL. Okay, but one of those ways was Gabbie saying we're going to do a video together, and then she never did it. So if that could have been both of their outlet to end things on a civil manner where both of them kind of had control of the narrative, why wouldn't Gabbie have just gone through with that? Because now she's trying to control how Jessi talks about her side of the story, but you can't do that. You have different sides of the story. You might not like how you look in Jessi's side of the story, but it's hers to tell, just like yours is yours to tell. And I don't love that she keeps saying, oh, just tell them I'm a mom and I've moved on. It doesn't matter if Jessi's a mom. She's still allowed to be hurt by a friendship that was such a huge part of her life or things that happened during that friendship. Just because she's a mom doesn't mean that she's forced to get over every single thing that happened before she was a mother. That's not how it works. She would still be affected by things that affected her. So if she was harmed or traumatized or emotionally exhausted by things that happened between this friendship, she's still allowed to talk about it and she's still allowed to feel that way. Just because she had a kid doesn't mean that all those feelings disappeared. I don't love that Gabbie keeps bringing that up to say, oh, just tell them I'm a mom and I don't need. You can still have quote unquote drama or issues that you need resolved, even if you're a mom. It just, to me, it's giving like, oh, tell them you're a mom, you've grown up, you're beyond that. Like, you don't even think of that. Cause then it kind of forces Jessi into a position where she's going to feel the need to oh, what, now that she's a mom, she's not allowed to engage in this conversation or to feel bad about what happened prior. No, it's still her life. She can still feel however she wants. If anything, being a mother would put you more in tune, possibly, with your emotions and now be like, wow, I really hope my kid never goes through what I went through in this friendship, you know? To me, I could be wrong. It's just it feels a little bit passive aggressive, like you're a mom now, get over it, or you should be over it.
I don't think you did it for views, haha, or else you would have just titled it that way or something. I just think if you truly want it to be over, saying things like that fuel the curiosity definitely feeds into the narrative, whereas saying the more positive truth of we were kids, we both grew up and moved on, people changed, would more likely shut people up.
But also, you to say like, oh, we were just kids, I don't think either one of them were kids. I'm pretty sure when they met, they were both 20 years old. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think they were already adults when they met. So, yeah, they were young adults. They grew up. That's true. But still, just to put it more like in a positive spin where it's like, oh, we both did this, we both whatever, or we're not thinking about that. It's like Jessi kind of already said that she did do that because she said we both hurt each other, but she's still allowed to express how she felt. She doesn't have to wrap it up nicely in a tight little bow to present you good to people because if you did things to hurt her, why would she do that? You know? But then she says, just if you want it to be over, I think there's other ways to do it. LOL. I also thought we were going to do a vegan dish video together, so I didn't know you felt that way. I'm guessing there's no chance he'd want to edit that part out. You're able to do it on YouTube if it's under 100K views. Jessi says, I can understand that for sure. The opposite of what I wanted was to spark and then off. Okay, to me, Gabbie says, I also thought we were going to do a vegan dish video together. That was months ago. You said it, and then she responded, and then you never responded again. So you didn't think you were going to do a vegan video together, because if you did, you would have followed up on it, just like you kind of offered that other video, and then you never followed up on it. So you can't use that then as like, oh, but we were going to do this together. But were you? Because you weren't even really speaking to her. You said at one time, she replied in kind, and then you never brought it back up again. Just like the original initial presentation of, hey, we should do this. You never brought it up again. So you didn't think you were going to do the vegan dish video, but it's kind of convenient that she's bringing that up to say, why do we have beef? We were about to film together. If I were Jessi, I'd be like, what about that other video we were going to film together to avoid all of this, where we were going to talk about it together?
You're free to speak your mind, obviously. Just if you want it to be over, I think there's other ways to do it. I also thought we were going to do a vegan dish video together, so I didn't know you felt that way. I'm guessing there's no chance you'd want to edit that part out. You're able to do it if it's under 100K views. She said, I understand that.
Also, I kind of feel like the way Gabbie's talking here, maybe she's not aware of it, maybe she is. This is kind of manipulative language because even suggesting to edit it out, but being like, I guess you don't want to do it, you could if it's whatever, you are putting light pressure on her to do it. You're not outright demanding it, but there is like an expectation there, which then if you're presenting it like this, she's going to feel like, what, the villain if she doesn't do it? It kind of reminds me of earlier in the text when she said, did you say this? Did you say this? Jessi then feels compelled to defend herself and be like, no, I didn't say that. And then if she did say it, she's made to feel like the villain if she did, because that's the tone of the conversation, as if she's not allowed to say it. And if she did, it would be bad. So Jessi says, the opposite of what I wanted was to spark curiosity on the subject. And you mean the email part? Yeah, I can edit that out. Gabbie says, honestly, just the whole question. We don't owe people explanations, and it just makes people talk about it more. All of it sparks curiosity. We hurt each other badly. Obviously, now you'll get so many comments. So she's quoting Jessi. Again, we hurt each other badly is Jessi taking accountability too. It's not saying Gabbie just hurt her badly. And I think Jessi's allowed to say that. I don't know why she wouldn't be. And Jessi's kind of like, oh, you want me to take out the email part? Sure, I'll take out that part. Kind of seems like Jessi's like, you know what? Maybe she's right. Maybe that one was too far. But then when Gabbie's like, actually, the whole thing, that's what I mean by it's subtle pressure, but it's still pressure. So now you're kind of suggesting, no, take out the whole question. Well, that's not fair. Jessi answered that question for a reason because she felt the need to express herself. And she thought she was doing it respectfully and kindly. And it sounds like it was respectful and kind if these quotes that Gabbie's quoting are accurate.
That for sure. The opposite of what I wanted was to spark curiosity on the subject. And you mean the email part? Yeah, I can edit that out. And I said, honestly, just the whole question. We don't owe people explanations, and it just makes people talk about.
She said, like, what causes more questions on a breakup? Quote, it just didn't work out and we both moved on. Or, quote, we have a really bad, heartbreaking breakup. It was awful. I just want to forget about it. Well, that's kind of not a good comparison because if you say what sparks more questions, the bottom one, she's kind of insinuating that the bottom one would spark more questions. But in her own example, she says, I just want to forget about it, which would say, even though you're saying something, you still want to forget about it. So if people bring it up, that's them crossing a line. And who would do that? Who would hear the second one and be like, I got to know more. I want to know more. I don't think that's fair. There's also a tone of being condescending here. Like, she says, well, which one sounds more like it would cause people to talk? And then she quotes two things, and then she puts a laughing emoji, which it's kind of rude because you're laughing at Jessi, essentially, because you're saying, oh, you thought that would get less interest? Well, which one would get more? And then you kind of like go to show her, no, not your choice would get less, it'd get more actually, and then you laugh at her. Like, I don't like the tone here because it does seem like I feel like Gabbie thinks that she's talking nicely, but she's actually being condescending and, to be honest, rude. Like, that laughing emoji, you're literally just laughing at her.
about it more. And then she didn't answer. And then the next time
Yeah, but is she surprised that she didn't answer? Because the way that she said that, it's kind of mockery. Because, like, she's asking her to take out the whole question, which now, if Jessi doesn't want to do, she has to explain why she doesn't want to do it. It seems very controlling, and Jessi did have accusations of Gabbie trying to control her in the friendship. This would lend credit to that. And on top of that, like I said, to be like what causes more questions on a breakup? Like, that's just rude to be like, oh, you did this one when you should have done this one. I don't like it.
I tried to text her a few months later, my phone number was blocked.
So she texted her a few months later. It was from her. Oh, okay. It's a comment from a Jessica Vasquez, which apparently is not Jessi. It says, I just listened to this song and I absolutely loved it. You have the most beautiful voice. I'm loving every song. Keep going, girl. You are truly talented. Love, one of your fans. And Gabbie said, I thought this was you, LOL. And then she discovered she was blocked. Here's what I don't get. The first message, how many days later was this? Okay. So the last messages were in February. This is in May, and she's claiming that she didn't know she was blocked until May. The reason I find this weird is why would you reach out to someone because you were stressing out about something and you wanted them to take out the question in their video and you guys were kind of having a back and forth conversation about it, and then you don't follow up or check to see if you like can resolve it? Like, why would you respond 3 months later or like initiate a new combo 3 months later and then you find out you're blocked 3 months later? You know what I mean? You're having a serious combo. You want her to do something and she just leaves you on red and that's it. You just never know you're blocked. That would be confusing to me because wouldn't you know in that month, like you would know in February, oh, she stopped talking to me. She's probably mad at me. That would maybe be the assumption. Why would you then message 3 months later and send her something random and then be like, oh, I'm blocked?
My phone number was blocked. So from my perspective, we had a conversation. I was asking her to please stop bringing me up because it's something that had been happening for years. She said she didn't want to cause stress. She says that we both hurt each other and that she wanted to move on and leave it in the past. And that's where we come to present day, or rather November. Over the years.
Okay, but I feel like the perception is a little bit off because she's saying from where I stood, we had a conversation, it was civil, we were good. That's not what any of this reads to me. Like I said, it seems like initially she reached out to Jessi way back like the year prior. Jessi was hesitant but open. Jessi responded in kind and was opening up more, but then Gabbie would kind of leave her on red, only come over every few months, send one message, bounce, another video idea, bounce. And then when she goes to confront her about something, after they hadn't spoken in a while, by the way, Jessi was nice, but when Gabbie started being like, actually, can you delete the whole thing, etc., even if Gabbie didn't think she was being demanding, she was still placing pressure and expectations on Jessi that probably would not have felt good. So I don't know how she could walk away from that conversation, especially with no reply from Jessi, being like, oh yeah, as far as I was aware, we were good. But were you if you brought something up to her and she clearly wasn't comfortable with you telling her to delete it? I feel like the perception is off there because that doesn't read to me like a friendly conversation that had a nice resolution. So it shouldn't be surprising that months later you find out Jessi doesn't feel the best about you, especially since it left off on that conversation.
Years, like she says, we've hurt each other a lot. We had a really toxic friendship, and frankly, that's why we're not friends anymore. Apologies have been given on both ends, and I truly thought that we were in a good place. So if she did have a problem, I didn't know about it, and as she says in her text, we were in a place where we could speak civilly about it.
But here's the problem. Even when Gabbie did know problems that Jessi had, she didn't acknowledge them as wrongdoings. I'm bringing up the situation with Jessi and her ex-boyfriend and Gabbie. Like, Jessi told Gabbie, I didn't feel comfortable you being or you doing an intimate thing with my boyfriend, which was the sharing the wine bottle back and forth. Gabbie thought she was crazy and didn't understand that. So in your friendship, when she told you a wrongdoing and you couldn't see it, why would you then think that, like, she's saying, she thought she had an issue with me and I didn't know it. Well, yeah, but even when she told you her issues in the friendship, you still didn't know it. So you never know when she has an issue with you. I feel like maybe I'm just being like too generous here, but I feel like anyone reading that text exchange would see that Jessi did not feel good after that interaction. That did not seem like Jessi was comfortable with that interaction because she stopped replying. You don't stop replying unless you're kind of like frustrated, fed up, tired, or you just don't even know what to say anymore. That to me is not leaving on a good note. If I wrote to somebody that much and they left me on red, I would not think that we left on a good note.
And we did both move on, and we have both just come such a long way. And then the next time I texted her, I was blocked. And to be 100% honest, this is really indicative of what our friendship was for years.
Okay, but wait, too, because I remember when she said this before, and I kind of bought into it because I didn't even see all the evidence. But she'd be like, "Oh, Jessi would randomly block me, and then it would start again." But that's not true because even just reading all of this, if Jessi blocked her, in my opinion, there's a valid reason because she didn't feel comfortable with the pressure that Gabbie was placing on her to delete what was in the video or edit it out. And she didn't know how to say that probably because it seems like every time she does say something, it's not very, like, you can even tell in the conversation when she argues her defense, Gabbie doesn't really hear it or will kind of talk another way about it. Like, yeah, but did you see how you're wrong here? So yeah, this is not the same as, oh, Jessi just blocked me out of nowhere and started hating me. No, it's not out of nowhere. She clearly felt uncomfortable. Maybe Gabbie couldn't see that, but she clearly felt uncomfortable and she had an issue. And I feel like that's obvious, but maybe it wasn't to Gabbie. I will say, not everyone is socially aware all the time. Sometimes people won't get social cues. I feel like that was a social cue that either Gabbie ignored or missed.
We would be in this really good place and we'd be really supportive and excited for each other, and then I would try to hit her up and I was blocked and I didn't know why. And then one day we would be cool again and we would have a cool conversation, and then I would be blocked, and then we'd be cool and then we'd be blocked. And then I thought we were cool, and then there'd be a subtweet or a comment in a video, and that
Okay, if that's the way Gabbie feels, I can see why she'd be like, "Oh, this is so confusing to me." However, again, I don't think that's what was happening. I feel like what was happening was just based off those conversations and things we've heard and seen. I feel like what was happening was Gabbie was either saying something that Jessi didn't like, or she was rubbing her the wrong way, and that is why she was getting blocked. It's not just like, oh, we were cool, she blocked me for no reason, because her prime example in this video is showing us that Jessi had a reason to block her. So it's not how she's presenting it.
that would get people talking again. And that is why, since I'm being completely honest right now, when I reached out about that initial collab back in 2017, I just decided that it wasn't a good idea because of how hot and cold our relationship was. It just didn't make me comfortable doing something publicly together. So now that we have
Okay, but did she share that with Jessi? Because I didn't see that in any of the texts. I didn't see, hey, let's not do that video after all. I feel like if you present this idea and then you and Jessi are texting for like a solid year and you're good, why then would you say, oh, I started feeling weird about it and I didn't want to do it? So why on one hand are you saying we've been good for an entire year? Look at all these messages that show we've been good, but then she does this. Why are you doing that if you just said yourself, even though we've been talking solidly for a year, I didn't feel comfortable doing the video because our friendship is so messy. So why do, you get the excuse of, well, we're too messy to do the video together. I don't really feel solid in this friendship. But then Jessi's not allowed to not feel solid in the friendship, even though you've been talking for quote unquote a year, even though it's not been consistent. It doesn't make sense. It's either you don't feel comfortable, you guys aren't that close, and she also can feel that way, or you both are close and neither of you should feel that way. But you can't say, oh, I kind of thought something might happen, so I didn't do it. Well, your whole argument is that you and Jessi were good. So if you're good, why would you not do the video? And if you're not good, why are you surprised that you're not good?
have some context on where I thought that we were and where our relationship left off, I need to obviously address everything that went down in November with the video that she put out. That video was about a conversation that I had with a fan. And while I obviously recognize that that conversation shouldn't have happened. It was incredibly inappropriate and obviously is very embarrassing. I do feel like at this point, I need to at least share my side of this whole situation. So back in November, I was in some drama with Trisha.
So she's referring to the video we last reacted to, which was Jessi reading DMs that Gabbie had with a fan about Jessi,
which I will talk about later in this video. And the night I put out the video, I got a tweet from one of my longtime fans that said, "I feel like anytime Gabbie is talked badly upon, a certain person always has to say something negative about her. Like, we get it, you don't like her, move on and grow up."
But wait a minute. She said, I got a tweet from a fan, but this isn't even a tweet to Gabbie. It's just a tweet about Gabbie. And like she said, I feel like anytime Gabbie is talked badly upon, a certain person always has something negative, a certain person always has to say something negative about her. Like, we get it, you don't like her, move on and grow up. Okay. But if her and Jessi, because that's obviously who's being referenced here, if her and Jessi are not good, Jessi is allowed to say whatever the hell she wants, okay? Because they're not good. So, especially the way that they left off, which completely changes Gabbie's story, because before I was like, oh, why would she tweet if they were good? Because I had only seen some of the messages. But after Gabbie shared all of them now in this video, I see why Jessi tweeted, and I see why they didn't end on good terms. What I don't see is why Gabbie thought they did.
And this is something that obviously other people have noticed outside of myself. So as soon as I saw that tweet, I went to go check Jessi's page to see if that's what she was referring to. And there was a tweet up on her page, and a now deleted tweet. She deleted it before her video went up, so you can't go find it on her page right now. If you're a person, the world will find out. Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, but it's only a matter of time.
I will say, now that I know the whole entire context and I'm reading this reads more to like, if you are that person, the world will find out. So yeah, she didn't name her by name. She clearly is talking about her. I will give Gabbie that. This clearly is a tweet about Gabbie. However, we have to remember that the last conversation these two had was that private text message where Gabbie was essentially trying to not force Jessi to do something, but kind of put pressure on her to do something. And if Jessi blocked her after that and didn't feel comfortable with her after that, then this tweet is not surprising. It's not surprising that someone you haven't spoken to in months, who you last left off with in a bad light, would tweet something like this. It's not shocking. Now, I was kind of fooled in the last video because I remember Gabbie had said she tweeted this out of nowhere. We were completely fine. She had just asked me if I wanted her to work for me. And it did look kind of sus, because it's like, wait, why is she willing to do this? But then she's tweeting this. But then when you see everything in context, it all makes sense. Like, it makes sense now.
So obviously my name's not in the tweet, but with everything that was going on with Trisha Paytas that night, and in conjunction with her liking tweets about me, and I wasn't going to respond to it publicly, but when I saw the tweet, I went to text Jessi, and that's actually the first time I saw that my last text message never sent to her, and that was when I realized that she had blocked me. And
Wait, that doesn't make sense though, because she said that she sent her that thing and then she noticed she was blocked. But now she's saying, oh, it was actually this tweet when I went to go try to say something to her and realized I was blocked. How would you not know that your first message before wasn't sent? That's not adding up to me. I kind of feel like she's saying this because she doesn't want to say, I knew back in May that I was blocked and she didn't want to talk to me. Or I knew back then that something was not good between us. So I kind of feel like this is changing the story to be like, oh, I didn't know. I thought we were completely good and this is shocking. Because then you can kind of, people will side with you in that case where it's like, oh, she thought they were good and they were good and then she just blocked her. Where the real truth is Gabbie said something that made Jessi uncomfortable and then she blocked her.
I don't know when she blocked me because we hadn't gotten into any type of argument in between our last conversation and this one. So obviously my phone number is blocked. I don't feel like I'm in a situation where I can hit Jessi up and talk to her personally about it. So not that much later that night is when I started getting a bunch of tweets about how I ditched my best friend to collab with her rapist, how I'm a social climber, and basically that I chose.
But one thing I'll say is she says, Jessi blocked me, so I didn't feel like I should go reach out to her. But according to Jessi and Alex James, which is Jessi's friend and Gabbie's former friend, when Gabbie would not have access to Jessi, she would message other people to try to message Jessi. So I don't know, maybe she grew up at this point. Maybe she realized it's crossing a boundary to reach out to someone who blocked you. But at this point, it looks like she was like, well, I wasn't going to disrespect her decision. But it just confuses me because she used to.
My best friend's over her. This is a rumor that started 5 years ago that obviously Jessi and I had had plenty of conversations since. We had squashed a lot of our beef. We've discussed it at length, and I thought that we were moving on as friends, or at least friendly. And I need to take a break right here to just say,
But they didn't squash their beef and she knew they didn't squash their beef because her initial reason for talking to her in 2017 and saying, hey, we should get on video together was to say, I know there's still tension between us. And even Jessi confirmed that. And she said, we should talk about it to erase it, like to get rid of it, to kind of, even though Gabbie kind of presented it as for views for our channel, Jessi kind of presented it as to heal. And then Gabbie kind of agreed. So no, you didn't think that everything was squashed and talked about, and I don't know how you could either because it was such a serious topic that I could see how Jessi could forgive but not forget. I'll put it that way.
I have never collabed with Jessi's. I did not stop being friends with Jessi so that I could be friends with her. Jessi ended our friendship. I've never, ever.
Okay, but in the text messages to Deanna in the last video we reacted to, Gabbie said she ended the friendship with Jessi because she said she needed to make a decision to step away from Jessi, even though the truth does seem to be that Jessi ended the friendship. I'm just saying it's a conflicting story and a contradiction. Now, I will say, Gabbie's saying she didn't collab with Curtis, and she's saying she never chose Curtis over Jessi, but here's why it gets so muddied. Curtis asked Gabbie to collab after her and Jessi fell out, and Gabbie was open to it. She's saying she was only open to it to prevent him from doing something to her, like because he had threatened to release information about her. But you still showed that you were open to doing it. That aside, you also maybe didn't choose him over her, but after the fallout, she definitely spoke to Curtis and then hung out with his friends, which does look bad. Yes, it's not choosing him over Jessi or ditching her to go with him, but it is weird where after you fall out with your best friend, you go associate with him or people associated with him. That's where it gets messy, and that's where I think people kind of mix all the stories together. So no, it's not true that she chose Curtis, but it is true that she associated with him afterward.
Publicly defended Jessi's. I have one tweet to him before the TMZ story ever broke. That was 4 months, I believe, before the TMZ story broke. Nobody outside of their circle knew what was going on, especially not me in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, completely detached from the Vine world. I would never in a million years choose him over her.
Okay, but wait, that's not accurate either, though. To say you're completely detached from the Vine world just because at the time you only had 200,000 followers, because that's what she said in the 3-hour phone call, that she only had 200,000 followers. That is a lot of people. 200,000 people is a lot of people. You are a Viner at that point. You cannot say just because you hadn't hit 1 million yet or something that somehow you just were so detached from the Vine community. If that were true, you would not have a Vine account at all. Jessi wouldn't even know who you are at all. So she's saying, like, I didn't even know Jessi, but then in the same tone, she'll be like, I tweeted these because I was mad at the way Jessi treated me. Well, how could she have treated you anyway if you were so detached from the Vine community that you were not even a part of it? You either knew her or you didn't.
And I would never and have never defended him. In fact, one time I was at an event, an influencer event, and he happened to be there and he tried to take a Snapchat selfie with me, and I told him to delete it right now.
Now, that story does change where she says that she knew it was him and she told him to delete it. The other story is she had no idea it was him. She thought it was a fan asking and she told him to delete it. One thing I will say is she might have not defended him after her and Jessi were friends. However, she did, like, it was a defense, those initial tweets. It was. And another thing I will say that I didn't mention in the last video is the original tweet from the fan that said Gabbie chose Curtis over Jessi. That tweet called Curtis the R word, which he is, okay? And he, trigger warning, essay. So everyone knew this. Gabbie knew this, and when she wrote to Deanna, something I found interesting, but I forgot to mention in the last video, is that she goes, why do you think I was associated with my best friend's ex-boyfriend? So Deanna didn't say ex-boyfriend. She said R word. So why did Gabbie then demote him from R word to uh ex-boyfriend? Or promote him actually? Why would she not just say, why would you think I collabed with the guy who R-worded my friend? Like, why did she turn him into ex-boyfriend instead of R-word? You know what I mean? That struck me as a little bit as odd, and it kind of to me read a little bit as a defense because if someone says, "Oh, she hung out with her R-word," why would you say, "Oh, I never hung out with her ex"? Like, why would you change the label?
Because I did not want to be associated with him. I have zero association with Curtis Lepore.
Really quick, last night I got in bed and I really just scoured.
But she says that she had zero or she has zero association with Curtis Lepore. However, she called Curtis, or Curtis called her. Curtis FaceTimed her. She saw him at an event and was near him at least 2 times, once at the event and once when, actually twice at the event because she said they went to dinner after and Curtis also attended. And also another place was when Jessi said that Gabbie was hanging out with Curtis's friends and Curtis was there. So this is multiple times being associated with him. So she can't say that she has zero association when at this point she had already had a FaceTime call with him.
Trying to find any stone that I left unturned that might show something that I would have to further explain. I just want to get everything in here, and I found a couple tweets that I do want to address. So these are the tweets that I've already posted, and it says he was arrested in October of 2013.
Okay, let's see this. Curtis was arrested in 2013. Gabbie tweets this in September 2013 and December 2013. Sad. Curtis was arrested October. So we see it says Gabbie, I can't see the timeline because she didn't click it, but it says, I'm so honored every time someone blank with like Curtis. And then I don't know what the second was, but I guess it's related to Curtis. Let's keep going.
Tweeted this in September of 2013 and December of 2013, but the TMZ article was not published until January 16th, 2014. And nobody in the Vine community, as Alex James actually confirms in his video, knew about this. It wasn't public knowledge. We all found out about it when this article came out. This one as well is from December 10th, 2013. Again, this is before the story ever broke, so I had no idea at this point.
Okay, but here's kind of where her story again conflicts. This is December 3rd, 2013. He actually tweeted her and said, at the Gabbie show, that weird as blank, I don't know why I would ever block you. You should have just DM'd me. But she said that when she tweeted the tweets in January, right? Because later she'll tweet in January when the article comes out. She says, I had no association with the Vine world. I was detached from it. I was not a part of it. How are you not a part of it if a big Viner is tweeting you saying you should have DM'd me, I would never block you? That would mean he was aware of you. Because she later says, these were two people I had never met and didn't know. How do you not know them if he's tweeting you and saying you should have DM'd him as if you had DM'd before? That doesn't make any sense. Clearly, she was a part of this world.
This one is saying that I revined a Revine with Curtis in it. For those of you who remember Vine, you might remember when people would revine for Revine. It used to piss everybody off, but basically we would just text a group of friends and be like, hey, let's trade. I'll revine yours, you revine mine. And a lot of times we would just send each other links and just revine it. You were supposed to revine it as soon as it went up. So if you're doing something, if you're at work, if you're on the phone, if something's going on, you literally just click revine. So in that situation, somebody asked me to revine something, I revined it.
I don't know if I actually believe this story because I feel like this is very dangerous. Can you imagine if there was something, I mean, there already was, let's be real, Curtis himself in that video, that itself would be dangerous enough not to revine. But imagine other things also being in there, okay? Like, for instance, someone saying something they shouldn't have, or someone being offensive, just things of that nature, okay? Why would you not double check before you revine and then put yourself at risk? That's why I don't know why she would not watch it first before revine. Maybe she did. I don't know, but that just seems like I can't imagine anyone would do that.
It had Curtis Lepore in it. I unrevined it immediately and I flipped out at that person. So that's why I revined a Vine with Curtis in it. It wasn't Curtis's Vine. He was in somebody else's who I did revine for revine with. This one says, so.
But then that just means you were associating with people associated with him. And she had to have known that that person was associated with Curtis, even if she got mad at them and said, why would you do that? I'm not going to be associated with Curtis. If you're still associated with Curtis's friend, you're associated with Curtis. That's just how it is. So let's see what she says
So
next.
she's just brokenhearted, not ironic with comments like that. This one I actually do remember. This was the day the story broke, and I hadn't seen the article yet. Whatever he tweeted, I genuinely have no idea what his tweet was, but I remember I responded with a current Vine meme, which was a Big Sean Lil Wayne song, "Beware, beware, beware of a woman with a broken heart." So that was a Vine meme. For those of you who are on Vine at the time, you remember it. I don't remember what he said. Obviously, it had nothing to do with the case. So that was that day before I ever...
Wait, but is it obvious, or we don't know what the original tweet said, right? But it is obviously it's something about Jessi or a woman at the very least, because Gabbie tweets about a woman being brokenhearted, and it's kind of like that song lyric is saying, "Beware, beware, beware of a woman with a broken heart," almost as if women can be vengeful, right? That's the implication here.
Saw it, the tweet is deleted because I was like, oh, she didn't understand the context of anything about this, and that's why it's gone, because I didn't stand by what it said once I understood the context of everything that was happening. This wasn't my tweet. This actually goes hand in hand with this, which I actually address in this video. I was at an event with another Viner at the time. There were a lot of other Viners there. There were also fans there, and somebody said, "Hey, Gabbie show, let me get a selfie." Out of habit, I'm sure any Viner, YouTuber, TikToker can relate to this. If you're in a crowd like that and somebody says, "Can I get a selfie?" you just kind of quickly turn out of habit, smile for the picture, and then turn. I noticed.
Okay, but that's not exactly the story she just told a couple minutes prior. She said that Curtis took the picture of her and then she had him delete it. But now she's saying initially she thought it was a fan. She didn't say that initially, which I don't know why she wouldn't have. Wouldn't she have said, "Oh, I thought a fan was asking me to take a picture. It ended up being Curtis." But she said it was Curtis. But I will kind of give the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe say, okay, maybe she just left that out the first time. But I do have something else to say about this, but I'll let her say it first.
That it was him. He had already tweeted it and posted it on Snapchat, and I told him to delete it right away.
This is what I mean. How could he have tweeted and posted it on Snapchat that quick? So he took the photo, and what, you didn't look at his face, or at the exact moment you looked at his face, he had already done those two things. To me, it kind of seems more like he took the photo with her. She was aware, just like she said in the beginning, that Curtis took the photo with her. But then when he tweeted and posted it, that's when she was like, "No, no, 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 get rid of that." To me, that's what it sounds like. I could be wrong. That's just what I think.
And he did. And that's why there's so few screenshots or tweets about it, because it was up for such a short period of time. Because to me, it was transparent from the beginning that he was trying to make it look like we were friends, because that makes him look good if he's friends with me, and I wasn't here for it. So those are all of the ones.
But if you were talking to him behind the scenes, even if you weren't his friend, if you got on a FaceTime with him, if you accepted an apology from him, if you heard him out, if you let him tell his side of the story, that still doesn't look good on you, because you're still associating with someone. You can't just be like, "Well, I didn't want people to think we were friends," because now it only comes off like you're only worried about that because you don't want public bashing. But you'd be okay with being associated with him in private, which is not okay.
Ones that I found. Regardless, there are no tweets out there of me publicly defending him, being his friend, and I just wanted to clear those ones up too.
And this is another pattern that has come up over the last...
But again, does it matter whether there's anything public out there if privately you associated so many times? I think that's the real issue.
5 years, where every time I'm in some type of drama or scandal, Jessi and her best friend start up this rumor again, and on top of everything else is when I start getting tweets about how I collabed with my best friends. And I remember the exact day that that started. In February, March-ish 2015, it was when I was still working at BuzzFeed, Jessi and I had a falling out over something that's completely unrelated and private between the two of us. In that time, I guess...
Okay, I don't know what they're referring to. I actually don't know if they ever mentioned this, and so I'll respect that they kept it private. Unless it comes up, then we'll address it. But I feel like she's about to say, because she just said, "There's a pattern here, we're good," and then Jessi brings something up, but they're not good then. Because I feel like she's about to say, it's somehow Jessi's fault, even though I feel like Jessi only seems to react. I don't feel like Jessi initiates. I feel like she reacts.
word travels fast, I got a FaceTime from an unknown number and I answered it, and it was Curtis. He told me that he got my number from a friend and he wanted to apologize to me if he ever made me uncomfortable in public, for giving me dirty looks for public. And he said, you know, it's just that you were friends with her. And what I said to him was, there's no apology needed. I wouldn't expect you to be nice to me in public. I don't care. So we ended the
Am I wrong, or in the last video when she was DMing Deanna, did she not say that she accepted Curtis's apology? But now she's saying you don't owe me an apology. I could be wrong. I need to go double check that. But I could have sworn maybe in that or the other video, she said that she had like thanked him for the apology. But now she's saying, I don't need your apology. And I feel like she's leading toward like, oh, I know exactly when these rumors started. It was after Curtis had called me and I talked to him. Okay, but then why are you surprised if people are saying that you associated with Curtis after you associated with Curtis? Even if Jessi and her best friend leaked that information, it's still factual information. Just because the public found out about it doesn't mean it didn't happen. That's what I mean by you can't be his friend in private or associated with him in private, but you just don't want it to go public.
call by me saying that his apology wasn't necessary, and I made it very clear to him. I said to him verbatim, I just want you to know that even though you've apologized to me, I'm never going to publicly defend you. I will never publicly bash Jessi, regardless of what happened between her and I. This will never be a thing. I will never defend.
Okay, but who cares if you wouldn't publicly do it if you privately still heard him out and associated with him? Also, I don't think she mentions it here, but also in that call, she heard his side out, and he doesn't even have a side. He committed a crime. And to sit there and listen to not only an apology, but to hear his quote unquote side, that's not a good look. And it's not just not a good look, it's not a good action. I don't know how she doesn't see this. I genuinely don't.
You, I will never hurt her, period. And he said he wouldn't.
But if you had never hurt her, you would have never picked up that call, or you would have hung up the exact second you heard who it was, because that is hurtful. To say I would never hurt her, but then you listen to someone who hurt her immeasurably is hurting her.
Expect that, and that was it. So I'm pretty sure it was the very next day, Jessi reached out to me and she said that she was sorry and that she wanted to work on our friendship. And I said, yeah, me too. And I told her, going into this, as we work on our friendship, I want to be completely honest with you. I don't want to hide anything from you. Curtis got my phone number from somebody. He called me. This is exactly what the conversation was. I told her everything that he said, everything I said, and I made sure to tell her, I let him know that I would never publicly defend him and that I would never publicly back.
But that's not enough. The fact, okay, imagine being Jessi and sitting there and saying, hey, I actually do want a friendship with you. Let's reconcile. And then your friend tells you, hey, I want that too. But in full transparency, I just spoke to the man who did this to you. And we all know what he did to her. I just spoke to the man who did this to you. And this is the conversation we had. Imagine being Jessi and knowing that your former best friend had a conversation with the person who did what he did to her. A conversation. That's not short. It's not one word. A conversation is sitting there talking to him, talking to someone she was trying to get away from, who she wanted no association with, and now her former best friend, who she was going to reconcile with, has that association. You cannot blame Jessi in the slightest for wanting nothing to do with Gabbie after that. You just can't.
Bash you. She thanked me for my honesty and she said that she just needed some time to process and that she would hit me up when she was ready. And I said, cool, take your time. Less than 20 minutes later, I started getting tweets saying that I wasn't friends with Jessi anymore because I wanted to collab with her, how I ditched my best friend for her. I tried to text Jessi about it and I was blocked. Since then, on many occasions,
But again, does Gabbie not see that Jessi had the complete right to block her in this scenario? She just found out that Gabbie spoke to someone who harmed her. She has every right to block her. And if it came through and if it leaked that there was an association with Gabbie and Curtis, now maybe not collabed, okay? Maybe not collabed, maybe not ditched, but there was an association. So we're arguing semantics here because it doesn't matter if it was a collab or this or that. What matters is there was an interaction and there should never have been.
I've scoured the internet trying to find the reason that people believe that that happened. There's no videos, there's no pictures, there's no tweets, there's no proof of any kind.
But But why do you have to scour the internet when you know you were associated with him? You didn't collab and you didn't ditch, but you know that you had a FaceTime with him. So why do you have to scour the internet when you know that you just were associated with him? You just had a private call with him. So why do you have to scour the internet looking for what could be the reason behind this? I don't know, maybe the FaceTime?
To indicate that I would hang out with or collab with this person. So as I'm getting these tweets again after 5 years of staying silent on it, I just wanted an answer. Because honestly,
But she's kind of saying like, oh, as if I would collab or hang out with this person, as if it's like something she would never do, okay? Like, I would never collab or hang out with him, but you'll FaceTime him? You'll have a whole conversation with him? How is that different?
it started to get to a point where I started to believe it. Like, I've been told this story so many times that I legitimately thought I was going insane, and I was questioning myself, like, did I collab with this person? And I completely blocked it from my memory. That's how much it was affecting me at this point that I started to second guess myself. So
Okay, but why are we harping on the collab? Why isn't she remembering the FaceTime they just had?
out of the handful of tweets that I was getting that night, I chose somebody who I thought was older. Obviously, I was wrong. She had tweeted at me something along the lines of, I'm really hurt. I used to love you and support you. And then I found out that you ditched your best friend for her collab.
That's also not the tweet that was tweeted. The tweet was not to Gabbie. It did not say, I used to love you and then you did this. It wasn't directed at Gabbie at all. It was about her. It was not to her. So she can't say, someone tweeted me and I just went to reply them back. That's not true. It wasn't at Gabbie Hanna. It was about Gabbie Hanna, but she didn't say, hey, Gabbie, you did this. It was Deanna saying, it bugs me that Gabbie did this. That's what it was. It wasn't Deanna running to Gabbie and saying, hey, why did you do this? I need an explanation.
With him, basically, you're a disgusting human being. I don't feel comfortable showing the majority of our DMs on screen because I know now that she is a minor and it doesn't feel appropriate, but all of the DMs are available online if you want to go find them. So the conversation started by me asking her, I'm genuinely trying not to engage with this stuff because it's gossip, but this is one that really confuses me because I don't understand why anyone believes it. If I collabed with my friend's ex, especially publicly, where is it? Where is any photo, any...
This is what I mean. Why did she call him an ex and not the thing that he is, which is what the thing the girl tweeted? Why are we calling him an ex now? Why are we downplaying who he is and what he did?
Video? It doesn't exist because it didn't happen. That man is not my friend, has never been my friend. So how this story is a thing, I'll never understand, but I want to. So this is me paraphrasing the conversation as to not involve her any more than she already is. But basically she said that there were tweets that I defended him when the allegations dropped. I said, can you please send me the tweets? And she said, I can't find them. She sent me a video of...
But those were true, though, that she did defend him when the allegations dropped because she herself even said she defended him. Even in the 3-hour phone call with Jessi, she says, she said that she knew of false allegations that existed, so it made her angry to think that it could possibly be a false allegation. And then she later apologized to Jessi, but that's still defending him in that tweet. You can't say you never did it if you did. Even if you deleted it, it still happened. So the girl says here, okay, I found the reason. She sends a screen cap, and then she said he posted that after tweeting, don't call someone's dumb B on Twitter, or something like that on his release date. Could you please explain this to me? Obviously, when you're done filming.
A girl twerking next to him with long brown hair, and she said, this is why people believe it because you did this video. Do you care to explain this? And I said, that's not me. I sent her the link to the actual video where it's clearly not me, and she said, me. And at this point she's saying, you need to get your story out there. Like, this is crazy because I'm Googling it. You're right. There's no tweets, there's no videos, there's no pictures. And I basically said, I can't fight every lie that comes my way, and I also don't want to.
But I feel like this is not the real story of what happened because she did defend him on the day. That did happen. Even if she later changed her mind and apologized, it still happened. So we know that happened. Yes, she didn't collab with Curtis, but she did FaceTime him. And when he texted her and said, do you want to collab or whatever, she seemed open to it. So yes, while it didn't happen, there was still too much association there. So I don't know why she's so surprised that people kept trying to like put them together and saying they were associated. She's like, we publicly weren't, we publicly weren't, we publicly weren't. Okay, but you were privately, and that still matters.
Feed it or give it attention because it's just not true. And I basically just said, I was publicly best friends with her. She was in a public lawsuit with him. If I publicly defended him, don't you think it'd be somewhere? A story would have covered it back then. There'd be a screenshot, there'd be something. And she basically said to me, I can't believe that I believe this. And I have to be honest, it just felt good.
But it's arguing semantics because she did defend him the day the article dropped. That did happen. Yeah, she didn't defend him later to a bigger extent, but I feel like she's arguing semantics by saying, I never defended him. There would be an article about how I came out and, no, but you did. There were tweets of what you said, and you acknowledged that you tweeted them and you apologized for them. Jessi forgave you, but you still tweeted them. You cannot say you never once in your whole life defended him if you argued that false allegations made you upset.
For somebody to believe me, like this is something that I've literally never responded to for 5 years. You can find these tweets for 5 years. I have no excuse for having a conversation with this fan other than I was hurt, I was angry, I was stressed about everything else going on, and I just wanted to let off steam. And obviously,
but does she have an excuse for why she had a conversation with Curtis? Because I'd be more curious about that. I care less about her conversation with the fan, even though that was still messed up. I care more about why did you have the conversation with Curtis? Like, why? Were you that mad at Jessi that you wanted to talk to someone that you knew didn't like her either? I don't understand why you would sit there and listen to him, even after you said, I would never hurt her.
now I wish I could take it back. I've apologized to publicly, I've apologized to Jessi publicly for these DMs, and it's humiliating. It's so embarrassing, and it's something that I have to live with forever. I was never
You know what also kind of strikes me as odd is she says, I would take it back if I could. However, in one of the videos we'll be covering like 2-3 videos from now, the conversation of her and Curtis comes up where she had a call with him and she goes, if you think I'm bad for hearing him out, well, then I guess we agree to disagree. Why do you regret a call with or an interaction, a conversation with a fan, but you don't regret your interaction with the man who committed a crime against your former best friend? Why would you not regret that conversation?
DMing her with the intention of talking about Jessi. I was DMing her because she tweeted me asking me why I would do this, and I wanted to understand why she felt that way.
She didn't tweet her asking her. That didn't happen. That wasn't the tweet. I'll show the original tweet here. She didn't say, Gabbie, why did you do this? That never happened. I don't know why Gabbie's framing it this way, but now it makes me think that she frames things in a way to be deceptive, which I didn't really think that way of her before. But the more I'm watching of things, the more I'm thinking, why do you keep framing things in ways that aren't true and that you know aren't true?
I wish I could take back. It's something I wish that was never public and was never meant to be public. It was a one-on-one conversation I had with somebody in a moment of stupidity and weakness and anger and sadness. And I know this might be hard to believe, but sometimes as a creator, you forget that I just feel like a person. I've always made my friends online, even as a kid. So sometimes it's hard to remember that when you're DMing somebody online or responding to a tweet that because of who I am, it's a different relationship. But I am a public figure. I'm not just.
That's like the Colleen Ballinger defense of what she said of why she was DMing fans, but
some stranger ranting about things that are bothering me on the internet. That's not an appropriate relationship. I learned that lesson too late. It's embarrassing that I didn't know that lesson. In my mind, I was just responding.
Okay, like I was saying, that's kind of the Colleen Ballinger defense. And also, I don't entirely believe that Gabbie doesn't know that she's Gabbie. Like, she's Gabbie Hanna, and they're just viewers. Because she even has storytime videos where it's like, I'm lucky I'm not you because I'm an internet personality, so I get advantages in life. Like there was one she did about a gym membership that they would have kept making her pay if she wasn't who she is. So she would constantly talk about who she is and how people wanted to be associated with her and how people knew she would do story times and just kind of her platform. So even her, I don't know if it came after or when, but it was like the weight loss video where she was trying to lose weight in 8 weeks. She even said the nutritionist wanted to be associated with her for the numbers and stuff. So it's like, how do you know in all these story times and all these scenarios that you're you have a better platform and you're kind of not the average person, but then yet you're like, oh, I forget that I'm not just anyone else. I forget that I'm not just a random Twitter user. I feel like she at all times knows that she's not.
Privately to somebody who tweeted me a concern publicly, asking me why I would collab with him, and I just...
But she didn't tweet that concern asking Gabbie that. That didn't happen. She didn't say, Gabbie, I really love you and I need to know why you did this. That didn't happen. The girl just tweeted the tweet we already showed you, and then Gabbie chose to respond to her. But she didn't ask her. It was not directly to her.
Just took it way too far, and for that I'm really sorry and really embarrassed. So that's the history of the last 5 years in a nutshell, and kind of my side of where those DMs came from and why it happened in the first place. It's been really confusing and painful for both of us, but it does hurt because...
But one thing that stands out to me is she seemed very resentful in the DMs between her and Deanna. But like I said, when we all just read through all those texts together, there's no cohesive consistency between Gabbie and Jessi, and there was no friendship there. So, like I said before in the last video, when I said something like, you know, it could be confusing why Gabbie would think they're cool and then Jessi's tweeting, I didn't see all these texts back to back in the timeline. Now, to me, it makes complete sense that Jessi didn't feel like they were in a good spot. They didn't look like they were in a good spot to me. One message every 5 months is not a good spot. And the last message they left off on was a bad note. So Gabbie's kind of painting this like, I'm so confused, we're so good, and then we're not. And then I feel like it's easy to buy into that if that's all you're seeing. But if you actually see all the text like we just did, then it's very easy to see what's happening. And it's more difficult to understand why Gabbie is so confused.
Because it just feels like over the last few years I have done my best to be friendly and to be kind and put the past behind us. It's like every few months there's just always some dig, and I don't know why this particular one got to me and why I didn't.
But you're not doing the best to put it behind you if your best idea was to do a video together, which Jessi agreed to and shared her concerns and shared her eagerness to do it too. Or even though she was reluctant, she was still eager to fix things. You're not doing the best if you didn't go through with it and you didn't try to squash the beef. So to say, you know, I try to do my best, but then every few months there's this, well, go reread your conversations with Jessi. Go reread how you're kind of only hopping in every now and then, saying we should do this, and then you never do it. Or just coming to her once and then leaving her on red. Like, that's not a friendship.
Didn't choose to ignore it this time, but I think I was just kind of at my boiling point where I wanted some type of understanding. So I'd like to take a moment to speak to Jessi directly. I'm doing this publicly because you have me blocked, and I don't think that it's appropriate for me to reach out to you privately given that circumstance. Jessi, your number has never been blocked on my phone. I feel that through the years, and especially recently, that you and I have had some really positive discourse, and we have proved that we're capable of civil conversation. I truly thought...
So I'm going to pause this here for a second because I have to call this out. In the 3-hour phone call, they make it clear that after Gabbie said this, Jessi had a hard time getting her on the phone. So she said this, and then Jessi said, okay, we can call. And then she could not get Gabbie on call. And then Gabbie kept saying, I'm not in a good headspace. I don't want to do it. Or she was kind of combative. And sure, she could have not been in a good headspace, and fine, she didn't have to do it if she didn't want to. But to make this video where you're being very open and you're saying, Jessi, you can call me if you want, we can talk about it. And then when she tries to, you're putting up hurdles and barriers. That doesn't read as authentic. Because why would you say that you were open to calling her and you wanted to have a conversation with her and you would do it to then just not do it or make excuses or say like, oh, Jessi's pressuring me into this. Well, then why did you offer it?
That we've put all this behind us, but if there's something that you are hurt by that you want to talk about, or something we've talked about that you'd like to talk about again, I'm all ears. I'm happy to listen to you. We can talk privately if you'd like. We can do it publicly in the form of a video or podcast. We can have a private conversation where...
But that was the initial idea that never came true. And then when Jessi does hit her up again for the phone call, Gabbie's not as receptive as she appears to be in this video. So it kind of seems like Gabbie has a habit of offering things that she doesn't have intention to follow through with. Even though they did end up having the phone conversation, it was very combative and it wasn't very open or nice.
Where we record it just so that we have it for ourselves, or you can ignore it. But I've never wanted any of our drama to be public, and that's why I haven't responded to it over the years. I truly thought that we had talked about everything that we needed to, and I feel like we can end this here. This isn't who I am.
But you didn't feel like you truly talked about everything you needed to, because your initial text to her in 2017 was, hey, I have an idea. We should talk about all those things we've never talked about and find resolution. But now you're saying, oh, I truly thought we had covered everything. But where? You said you would do that in the video that you never did. So no, there was never a point where you guys covered every single thing. That's not a thing.
Who I want to be, or the example that I want to set for the generation coming up after us. And I truly hope that we can lead together by example on this journey. No matter what happens, I will always wish you nothing but happiness and love, as always. And I will always be here to offer an ear or friendship if you need it. So to jump back to where all of this started.
So that's all she says about Jessi. She does mention her at the end, so I'll go ahead and include that. But I will say, this tone is so different from what the actual conversation ended up being. When we cover the conversation, I'm going to include this tone and then her tone in the conversation, because it's vastly different. In this video, she's like, Jessi, I'm open. I'll hear you out. I can see why Jessi would reach out and be like, okay, I'll talk to you. We can squash things. I'm down. But then, like, imagine you go call her and then it's just combative. Like, what was the point then? Why did you say she could call you if she couldn't call you? I don't get that. So she only mentions Jessi again at the end here.
And there was that comment that Jessi said in her video, in her initial video, that I said, well, his friends didn't read. And just like I said back when it happened, I can't say for sure that I didn't say that, because
That's also kind of scary that she can't remember if she said that and thinks it was a possibility, because that's a pretty, no, not even pretty. I was going to say it was a pretty ugly comment, but it's not even a pretty ugly comment. Like, it's not even kind of ugly. It's just straight up an ugly comment to make, to say his friends didn't do that to you. And again, even if she didn't say that specific sentence and didn't say they didn't R-word you, still to even say his friends aren't him, that's such a weak defense, because again, why would you associate with people who are publicly associating with someone who hurt her? Like, unashamed to associate with him, and now you're associating with them. You can't just be like, it wasn't his friends who did it, but they're still supporting him, and you supporting them helps them support him, which helps him in the end.
I don't remember. It was years ago. But what I do know is Jessi and I have had so many conversations, and I thought that we had apologized to each other and moved on. And if this was something that she was still carrying with her, and we either spoke about it and had moved on from it, or something she's never brought up to me. And like I said,
But that's not true, because Jessi shared when Gabbie initially texted her, I hate the tension between us. I have anxiety. I don't like it. She knew that there was an issue between them. Gabbie knew there was an issue because Gabbie said, hey, I have an idea. Let's address this thing that clearly we're both not over, because you keep passive aggressively mentioning it, and so do I. So in this video, for her to portray it as, I had no idea she was upset. She never told me. You did know, or you would have never come to her with that video idea.
I said there's a billion other things that I've said to people out of anger and defense and just being a person. I know a lot of people are going to say that I'm doing this for attention, because if you're following at all on my other social media, you know that my EP is coming out tomorrow. I have music videos coming out, but this video never would have happened if Jessi didn't publicly speak about me again, put me in her thumbnail.
Okay, I feel like, again, she's blaming Jessi here by saying, none of this would have ever happened. I would have never even made this video if Jessi didn't do this. I don't think that's fair to blame it on Jessi. I don't think it's fair to say nothing would have ever happened if it weren't for Jessi. So Jessi's not allowed to do what she wants on her channel. She's not allowed to use your guys' feud for content, even if whether she did or didn't. She's not allowed to do that, even though your initial idea to her was, hey, let's use our feud for content. That doesn't make any sense. You get to use it. You get to use it if it's your idea, but she can't just answer a simple question in a question video where she doesn't even say anything bad and she says we both hurt each other. I don't think it's fair to blame it on her and act like she did something wrong by posting the content that you said would be good content on her channel, and not even posting that content. She just did like a vague reference to it.
Use tags with my name. Honestly, I would have ignored this forever had it never come up again, but obviously ignoring it hasn't done me any good. So outside of my music,
well, ignoring it hasn't done her any good, and she kind of knew that though, because she even said before, we're both being she even said before, we're both being passive aggressive. We should do a video. We should address it. We should squash the beef and put it all behind us once and for all. But then she didn't follow through with that. So you can't blame Jessi that it was never resolved when you had the idea to resolve it and then didn't want to because you said it made you uncomfortable to think we should be in a video together and do it. But then again, that makes no sense because right now she said, Jessi, if you want to talk, we can do it on a podcast together. We can do it whenever. But you just told us like 20 minutes ago in this video that you decided not to do that with her because it would open the door to too many messy things. But now you're saying that once again that could be the resolution. I don't understand the flip-flopping. Like you're calling Jessi a flip-flopper, but then you're flip-flopping. Again, this is just my opinion on this. I feel like now that I have way more context, I feel slightly different than I did before. Before I was kind of saying, oh, I could see why Gabbie would be confused by being good with her and then not being good with her, then being good with her. But now that I know exactly how that was, I can see they were never good. It was never the way Gabbie portrayed it. Now that I've seen the conversations myself, I see why Jessi didn't feel good about her. Again, they weren't consistently speaking. It's not like they spoke Monday and then Tuesday Jessi was tweeting. It's like they spoke 5 months ago, left on a bad note, and then Jessi was tweeting. And to me, that changes everything. That changes how I view this. But let me know if it does for you. Let me know if that's how you viewed it all along. If you always knew that this was the context, let me know what you think in general. Do you think that I said anything that was wrong? Do you think I said something that was right? What did you agree with? What did you disagree with? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, let's talk about it. Remember though, this is not the end. We're still going to review the 3-hour phone call, the Gabbie video that came after it, then the Jessi video that came after it, and then the Gabbie podcast that came out after it again. So if you're interested in hearing more, stick around for that.